Well, what a way to start the morning. Hello, hello, everyone. Are we alive in the chat? Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good evening from wherever you're joining us. If you are just joining us, you are here for the Cloud Metaverse Summit. If you are alive, give me a Y in the chat. Good morning, good morning. Hello, Amit. Hi, Pankaj. Hi, Anand. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Give me a hi in the chat, guys. Give me a hi in the chat. Awesome. We're going to begin in just a moment. There's a lot of people that are still joining. Awesome. Great. What a musical way to start the morning, no? Awesome. Hey, good morning, Ali. Annie. Hi, Prashant, sir.
Good morning. Very good morning.
Awesome. So let's go. Let's start. Hello and welcome. Good morning and good evening, everyone joining us. Welcome to the Cloud and Metaverse Summit, an initiative to foster innovators, tech enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and developers to propel the cloud advancements of the virtual realm and to explore the building blocks of healthcare, agriculture, and gaming innovations. Before we begin, we would like to thank our amazing partners at FutureWire, Microsoft, Huawei, IBM, Tencent, Alibaba Group, Red Hat, and Linux Foundation. Without their constant support, this event would not have been possible. With that out of the way, the Cloud and Metaverse Summit is Click2Cloud's third consecutive year of organizing one of the country's largest virtual tech summits that talks extensively about cloud computing and various other cutting edge technologies. With all of its developer-centric activities and initiative over the years, Click2Cloud aims to make our city, the Orange City, Nagpur, the cloud capital of India. With that vision in our minds, we have a very amazing session lined up for you with experts from all around the world. And they are going to explore various aspects of the metaverse, cloud computing, and various other upcoming technologies. Before we begin, though, I hope you have your Twitter accounts handy because we are running a very, very exciting raffle contest where you can win exciting prizes by doing just a few simple steps. All you have to do is tweet out the favorite part of your experience at the summit and tweet it out by tagging us, the official handle of Click2Cloud, and using the hashtag CNM Summit 2023. I repeat it, hashtag CNM Summit 2023 to get your name in the raffle. And all the other steps, I will let you know in the very near future. But without any further ado, I would like to call upon Prashant Mishra, who's the founder and CEO of Click2Cloud Incorporated. He's a pioneer in cloud computing technology in the industry. And today he's going to talk about Metaverse, 3D platform for digital transformation. Prashant, sir, without any further ado, it's my honor to hand the stage over to you.
Thank you very much. I think, Nikhil, you did a good job on introducing the panelists from different companies who are going to join us today. I'm very excited about this session because this is the third time we are hosting this session. I'm not sure because we have more than 6,000 plus registrations done. So I'm not sure whether they are facing some kind of technical difficulties or some of the teams are joining from their colleges as a group.
They're constantly joining. As we speak,
Okay.
more and more people are joining.
Okay, got it. So,
and anyways, we are recording this session. So anyone who's watching this after we have uploaded it, so they can watch it afterwards as well.
Got it. So the good part is like I'm excited about this overall excitement in the community here around the globe. We have people who are joining from China, people joining from Europe and USA. Annie is in Bay Area, which is the heart of technology, and she's joining in this time for us. And I thank and support all the things that we have been given from partners like FutureWay, Microsoft, IBM for this session to be successful. Today, you will be hearing, all of us will be hearing from different experts from different industry. My topic today that I want to cover is cloud technology in healthcare and agriculture sector, where we are going to talk about how AI and metaverse is going to change the way we are doing the current solutions in the IT industry. Nagpur has been close to my heart, and I always want to have some kind of an event every year. Annie, we always thank your support every single time, and Microsoft panelists who are about to join in a few minutes, and IBM and Linux Foundation panelists. So we thank all your support. For some of them who are in East Coast, it could be little bit late timing. Europe, it could be little off timing, but that's okay. We appreciate you guys basically joining and supporting in this one and taking time to sort of like go through it. Let me start my session. I'm going to share my screen and sorry. There. So as you see, that today's topic is cloud and metaverse, healthcare and agriculture transformation. And in the year 2023, we'd like to talk about that, how these technologies have been achieved. These are the areas where we have been partnering with FutureWay and Microsoft for quite some time. And we have been building this technology for almost last 3 years. This is a basic background about me, where what I have done so far is there, and I don't want to go over it because Nikhil can cover that. About Click2Cloud, we are partnering with large set of companies from Microsoft, FutureWay, IBM, Alibaba Group on different assessment and digital transformation. We are a solution assessment and digital transformation company. Now I'll switch to the topic of how does the healthcare transformation is happening in the world based on AI and ML capability. In today's world, as the growing population is increasing, there is a demand for healthcare. And there is a huge demand for people to basically understand that how the healthcare can actually help them in sort of reshaping their life. So in the entire process, we came up with a very simple logic where we believe that 1% of the people are patient and 99% of the people in the world are like still very healthy. So the mission of this thing is basically to making sure that the healthy people remain healthy and the 1% of patient population becomes over the period the healthy population and remain healthy for the rest of their life. What are the secret behind it to make it happen? One secret behind it is personal health record, and I'm going to hover over some of the things. So we have wrote an algorithm and a logic that allows individuals to collect their data for all sorts of medical related fields, from neurology all the way to cardiovascular and musculatory systems. Which in layman language, they would be using IoT devices where they can count number of footsteps, the calories, the sort of like their blood count and other parameters, which will allow us to basically have a personal profile of an individual. There are a lot of software which does that. The secret behind it is countries like India and in Asia Pacific, where mobile technology has become so much relevant. So everybody has access to these technologies which are able to capture this data. So our goal is to basically bring the technology to the lowest of the lowest in the population, like going to the rural areas and the very urban areas and solving a healthcare problem for those. Sometimes people basically die because of lack of having a basic understanding of some of the things. One example of this system is this system. Similarly, what we implemented has helped more than 200,000 people saving their life during the COVID time. Because the only thing we used to measure is like the oxygen level. If the oxygen level was above 90, we would recommend them to stay home. And there was a healthy kit, which was vitamin plus some tablets to basically keep them healthy. And those people did not show up in the hospital, which saved from having a large level of basically contamination spread across. Technology plays a very vital role in human life. And the design of this technology is basically based on edge computing. It is based on IoT and wearable devices. It also integrates with various hospitals, laboratories, and the open 5G edge computing, which is also based on Centaurus technology that we developed in partnership with FutureWay, is the backbone of that. We also use Microsoft IoT Hub and Azure Analytics and other core competencies to basically make it happen so that we can make real-time AI-based decisions on top of the data that we collect. I'm going to play a quick video, and I hope that you guys can hear the sound of the video. If not, then you can raise your hand. Is the audio visible? Audio in the audience?
No, I think there's some problem with the audio.
Let me see if I have to turn on the audio setting here. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, now it's on.
So you can see that in real time, I am able to measure heart rate, the blood pressure rate, oxygen saturation level, the sleep time for an individual.
Hello, welcome to Health Optics. How can I help you?
Can you please tell me about insomnia?
Insomnia is a common sleep disorder. With insomnia, you may have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or getting good quality sleep. Insomnia can affect your memory and concentration. Chronic insomnia raises your risk of high blood pressure, coronary heart disease, diabetes, and cancer.
Can you help me with my medical assignment?
Sorry, I couldn't understand your question. Do you mean medical appointment?
Here you see the power of technology where the question and answers can be done based on the healthcare data, where individuals can take a consultation based on the recommendations made by the Health Optics software. Now I'm going to switch the topic to agriculture. Another biggest problem the world is facing is in terms of agriculture productivity and agriculture automation. So while health is important, the feeding everyday quality food and at least providing the food in most of the part of the world is another major challenge. We are working on another breakthrough technology which will change the way the life of individuals are going to be with the food supply and everything. And I thank Microsoft FarmWipe, FarmBeat, and the Open 5G team for contributing towards this smart agriculture product. Again, it is on the same philosophy that there are a lot of places where the farms are yielding low yield, and we would like to have a precision farming that can increase the yield by at least 10 to 50%. For that process, we have come up with a sustainable and maintainable agriculture process, which allows individuals to collect a various form of data. So in this one, we have collected the data from the satellite where we are pointing at a Baramati village, which is one of the village in India, where you get a single farm view with the same 7 days weather forecast. You can add multiple farm sets to it. Once you add the farm set, based on the satellite data, we are able to create many indices like NVDI, NDRE, and NDWI. For many people, what does that mean is these are the vegetation index, these are the water indexes, these are temperature, wind speed, sound, moisture conditions, the chemical composition of that area. All those data has been captured by the satellite. So it's a low touch, no touch kind of an environment where we collect all the data. We provide the precision geofencing. We also have integrated government land records for particular agriculture sector. We also work very closely with micro weather forecasting and historical time lapses. So most of the farm we have data from 1959, which is partial in nature, but still it's enough for us to make some precision based data analytics on top of it. As you say that we already have an historical data on average humidity, temperature, precipitation, soil moisture, the vegetation index, the trends for the last 20 years. And based on that, we are able to also look into the real-time data where the temperature rise for the current is almost 4 degrees. The humidity has changing drastically. And based on that, we can also determine the crop pattern, which could be the crop is pomegranate or mango or any sort of like other farming related things are there. So the key role of different things are different KPIs, the historical and data analytics on different trends, crop recommendation scenarios. You can also see the interesting data model again, where we have different IoT sensors which are collecting the data from the farm, from the GIS, and from the field and different places. We also have a generated data for the entire analytics report, which will actually lead to cognitive search and analysis on top of it. I'm going to play another interesting video which shows end-to-end product information here.
India is known as the land of agriculture. It supports a variety of crops in different regions due to the diverse climate, land fertility, and nutritious soil characteristics. But in recent years, farmers have been failing to manage the demand and supply of agriculture production due to accelerated climate change, poor resource management, and population pressure. Smart Farming Solution by Click2Cloud helps farmers utilize modern technology like IoT sensors, drone and satellite imagery along with big data, cloud computing, and the Internet of Things to optimize agriculture production. Click2Cloud's future farming is an artificial intelligence and machine learning based smart farming solution, curated for Indian farmers to generate insights from complex agro data with the help of powerful AI and ML models. It allows farmers to leverage wireless technology to collect data from the field and check insights at remote locations. Future Farming offers an intelligent platform with advanced analytics and cloud-based practices of smart agriculture by providing weather forecasts, remote crop monitoring, heat maps of critical information, and various vegetation indices such as NDVI, RACI to compare a photosynthetic activity. With the help of cutting-edge analytics, farmers can perform aerial surveillance, crop monitoring, land inspection, mapping, damaged crop assessment, weed detection to enhance resource usage, improve the quality of crops and increase crop production. Additionally, farmers can store and access 7/12ths and other documents for easier information access through their smart devices. Click2Cloud's future farming solution is empowering farmers to adapt to a changing climate by leveraging new technologies like IoT, imagery, and smartphone apps to harvest quality crops with increased yield, while adopting sustainable agriculture practices. It offers analytics based on location, soil, and crop type to help farmers understand their carbon emissions from different agriculture practices. Farmers can choose the best agriculture practices to neutralize their carbon emissions and adopt sustainability in agriculture. Maximize agricultural productivity with Click2Cloud Future Farming Solution. Tune into Click2Cloud to know more.
So that's about my presentation today. I hope you guys have enjoyed the technology changes that are coming in and how it's going to help the farmer, how it's going to help the future generations in terms of their health care. And I wish everybody that they will get a lot of information and knowledge about the technology. And it also shows the cutting edge technology that we are doing with our partners around the globe, whether it is FutureWay or Microsoft or IBM or Linux Foundation. And I continue to wish this journey year over year, where we will continue to bring the same set of audiences and same set of support from our partners like Annie and others who are already on the call. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. And I think such a beautiful presentation. I was especially impressed with the agriculture side of things, because both Prashant sir and I come from an area where agriculture has historically been very difficult. So solutions like this, where technology can be integrated into farming, can actually boost the economy and eventually help the needy farmers. There was a question in the Q&A tab, if we are open for questions, about the frequency of data collections, but I think that has been answered by Kuldeep in the chat. So guys, if you have any questions for our speakers, you can definitely use the Q&A tab to ask your questions, and we'll try to answer them in the live session if we have the time bandwidth. As we have a lot to unpack, we might not be able to take all of the questions, but we will try to take as many as we can. With that out of the way, let's move on to our next session. The next session is going to be taken by Annie Lai, who is the head of head of open source operations at open source operations and marketing at FutureWay, and she's going to speak about metaverse market trends. And Annie has been a constant support to all of us over the years, and she has been instrumental in bringing in more experts from around the globe for the Cloud and Metaverse Summit. So with that out of the way, Annie, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great, perfect. And thank you, Prashant, and congratulations on such a successful turnout of this event. And I really appreciate that you're putting a lot of energy and resources in making this, creating this summit, running this summit every year. And will definitely be really, moving forward, will definitely be one of your biggest supporter on this journey. So without further ado, today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the metaverse and the overview of metaverse and the trends. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Here. And this is me. I am the head of open source operations marketing at FutureWay, and also I'm on the board of Open Metaverse Foundation. So I don't know if you remember, in October 2021, a little bit over a year ago, Facebook renaming to Meta ignited the excitement of the metaverse. The capital market and the tech industry went through what I call an excessive enthusiasm phase to a year later, a not more realistic one. But don't get me wrong, and the potential of the metaverse is still very promising. I believe as an industry, if we can work together, solve all the technical challenges, as well as finding answers to some of the societal issues in the virtual world, metaverse can help us transform various industries, bring humanities to the digital platform, and ultimately improve the quality of our lives. So let's keep this metaverse fire going. So what is metaverse? Some people say it is an immersive experience to build the next evolution in social technology. It can help people connect, find communities, and build businesses. The shortest one is it's the second life with fancy VR glasses. And there are many other definitions. The reason that there's no formal definition is because the concept of the metaverse is still so new and it's developing. So I do not dare to give you a formal definition of the metaverse today, but I can share with you some of the major characteristics of a metaverse. Number one, it is an experience. So now we're moving from 2D to 3D. We're moving from just a regular mobile OS to game engine, which is a lot more immersive and dynamic. We're moving from a 2D web to a spatial web. And it has a Web3 architecture with built-in trust for data privacy. And it is a decentralized digital platform. Artificial intelligence plays a huge role in the metaverse for simulation, digital twins, and virtual assistant type of use cases. It is an internet of place. It brings people, spaces, things in both virtual and real world together to invoke a sense of belonging. In fact, I read some research. They were saying a lot of people who join games on regular basis, a lot of times it's not just about the games, to play the games. A lot of times they go to those virtual spaces to emote, to connect with people. And metaverse is also an internet of ownership. It is a place where you can do commerce. That's why technology such as NFT enables unique, portable, persistent digital objects, which can be created, exchanged, and valued in the market, in the virtual marketplace. And also there's this emergence of digital wallets, which what you later next speaker will talk about, the importance of digital wallets in the metaverse. So how does one enter metaverse? Currently, you can enter metaverse via digital tools, such as VR glasses, gloves, helmet, armor, or haptic wears to get into the metaverse. Or you can get into metaverse through BCI, brain computing interfaces, which can send the signals to your brain, and that connects you to the metaverse. And more specifically, let's look at all the technologies that are required to build a metaverse. For immersive experience and high simulation kind of experience in the metaverse, you need to have simulation interactive technologies such as XR, BCI, hologram sensing, that kind of technologies. And also it needs to have a creation and interaction platform. And currently we are looking at game engine, 3D engine with real-time rendering. In fact, game engine, 3D engine, mobile gaming engine, and we consider that as an entry point into the metaverse. It needs to have real-time operation, multi-dimensional interfaces, which is enabled by artificial intelligence, such as machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing. And also these days, everybody's talking about ChatGTP. With ChatGTP, you can create content. Users, the participants, can create content. It has an efficient content production, like I said, mentioned. And then in order to run this kind of AI, this kind of ChatGTP, to generate content, you need to have massive network and computer platform. That's why we need to have network technology such as 5G, 6G, edge computing. We need to have a large cloud computing and IoT technology. And in any kind of society, even virtual society, you need to have identity. Because once you have people, you need to have identity. While people, I mean avatars, you need to have identity. And when you have avatar, when you have people, you need to have rules and regulations. So, and that can be enforced by blockchain technology, and which consists of distributed storage, consensus mechanism, and ledger technologies. And to run all of this, as I said, you need to have extremely large scale, highly performing, with low latency, reliable cloud and network infrastructure. Especially for network infrastructure, metaverse applications such as location-based immersive opportunities like virtual concerts, and you need to be able to meet the traffic needs during the peak load while everybody's attending the concert at the same time. And then moving on to multiplayer location-based gaming, where everybody uses a phone or device to participate in the metaverse. And if you move on to the next level, when you have smart glasses pushing significantly more touch points, so you need to have location-based, like you will have location-based advertising, immersive interactive experiences, persuasive display virtual assistant. So you can wander around wherever, and you have an assistant, you have information popping up on your glasses. And that's going to require even a lot more network and fast network with low latency. And if you move to the ultimate metaverse experience where you don't even need glasses. So this is what we say, the holographic experience. Like, for example, these days I see a lot of museums are starting to do this immersive experience. I went to a couple immersive shows at various museums. One show was the Van Gogh Museum. You go in there, it's an immersive experience. All you see is Van Gogh's art and his background, his childhood, and places where he lived. But if we're taking it to next level, that maybe one day we can interact with Van Gogh, even though he's no longer does not exist today, but with a lot of AI technology, we'll be able to talk to and interact with people who have passed away, like family members and that kind of stuff. So with that kind of application use case, the network requirement would be a lot more stringent, because you need to have a very fast interaction, and network has to be reliable, and latency has to be sub-milliseconds. So let's see who are investing in metaverse technologies today. And obviously, first the metaverse providers, these are the ones that provide metaverse services themselves. Some of these were built with the private data centers with some of the managed services, but most of these compute and graphic intensive systems were built on public cloud providers. Why public cloud providers? Because public cloud providers has this pay-as-you-go model, which is very economical. And also public cloud providers has distributed points of presence around the world, thus removing some of the latency and sending render graphics back to the user to achieve near real-time experience. And also VR has been part of the most public cloud providers for years, now running because they run simulation and training, which require large amount of compute storage and high performance networking with low latency. So this is why you see leading CSPs such as Google, Microsoft, Amazon in China, the BAT, Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, and then now with the other companies such as Meta and TikTok and ByteDance, all these companies are investing in metaverse technologies at all layers, including perception display layer, application layer, platform layer, and network layer. And how do they monetize metaverse? Obviously, metaverse will drive more consumption, such as digital twins, and this kind of simulation will require a ton of cloud resources. So these companies, these CSPs can monetize metaverse using business models such as metaverse as a service, or build a turnkey metaverse purpose cloud, or metaverse enabled by hybrid cloud. And how do they make money from that? Obviously infrastructure, right? The more stringent resource required services, the better, because they can sell more network, more storage, more cloud. And also when you are running metaverse applications or services, and you are actually inviting your users to contribute content as well. So I don't know if you've heard this content economy right now. A lot of games, even in the gaming today, they want their users to help improve the games. And then with technology such as ChatGPT, people can write code a lot easier, and it'll be a lot easier to help end users to contribute content by easy coding or easy art creation. So content creation is going to be a lot more prevalent. It's going to be a major part of the metaverse world. And with content sitting on all these cloud service providers cloud, they can monetize content. And also they can also provide services to help people create content such as 3D mapping and that kind of technologies. So as you can see, it is still, there's a lot of investments that are going into metaverse. What are the key markets of the metaverse? Briefly, you can look at, you can break the metaverse market down into two parts. One is the consumer metaverse market. The other one is enterprise metaverse market. For consumer metaverse market, we're talking about digital services and media, including virtual spaces, virtual assets, digital advertising, ad tech, streaming video, gaming, social media. For enterprise market metaverse, you can break that down into two types of enterprise metaverse use cases. Industrial metaverse, like earlier, Prashant was talking about farming, agriculture. A lot of them use metaverse, could use metaverse for simulations before they apply a new way of doing things. They can create a mirror of the existing environment and apply the new technology or new changes and compare. And this is a lot cheaper than really experimenting in the physical world. And for the other enterprise metaverse, metaverse can be used for collaboration, immersive, such as virtual training, meetings, etc. And overall, metaverse for a lot of CEO, CIO, it is not just innovation initiative, but also more importantly is a sustainability initiative. For this is from Gartner's top trend for 2023. They claim that by 2027, over 40% of large organizations worldwide will be using combination of Web3 spatial computing and digital twins, which is a metaverse-based project. So metaverse can be applied not just for training, like I mentioned earlier, it can be applied in sales, in customer support, even in R&D, and all kinds of opportunities. So let's look at metaverse trend in 2023. So metaverse will be, you'll see metaverse will be used as a new marketing channel more and more. And very surprisingly, the banking industry is embracing metaverse, adding virtual economy with virtual goods to their businesses. For example, HSBC purchased land in Sandbox in 2022, which was used to engage with online sports fans and esports enthusiasts. JP Morgan set up shop in the Decentraland platform, created a lounge area called Onyx instead of platform called Metajuku Virtual Mall. And for a lot of lifestyle and fashion brands such as Nike, Gucci, Adidas, and many more create presence with their own spaces in the metaverse and their virtual shops. For virtual shops and virtual products and merchandises, like Coca-Cola has launched a new flavor in the metaverse. McDonald's is using the digital virtual restaurant, is building a digital restaurant. So all these businesses will position themselves in the prime virtual locations. There are 5. So there's a virtual real estate, competition. So this is whether through building their own platform or occupying existing arenas such as Meta Horizon, Fortnite, VRChat, Roblox, Sandbox, Decentraland. So there are lands that people can buy to build their own virtual shops. For enterprise metaverse, digital twins, earlier I mentioned, virtual simulation of real world products, process, and operations that can be used to test and prototype the new ideas in the safe environment of the digital domain. From like wind farms to Formula One cars, designer can recreating physical objects inside of virtual worlds where their efficiency can be stress tested under any conceivable condition. For training, Accenture created a metaverse environment called Nth Floor that features replicas of real-world offices and let employees and new hires perform a number of HR related functions within the virtual world. For collaborative working environment, BMW is an example, has an AR labs, which can be used to design and prototype new products, will also become a more popular as teams explore new methods of working remotely while remaining engaged with colleagues in the creative process. Web3 and decentralization. So Web3 technology, you've heard about Web 1, Web 2, right? Web 1 is about read, Web 2 is about read, write, Web 3 is about not just read, write, but also owning the data, your own data. So Web3 technologies such as blockchain and NFT play an increasing important role in the metaverse. We can see this with the decentralized metaverse platform and Sandbox platform, and they all use blockchain to enable their metaverses. And the vision is to create virtual democracy to use their own communities, as well as to see further integration with cryptocurrency and NFT into the metaverse application. Companies such as Nike, Adidas, and Forever 21 have used NFT to create digital goods that can be worn and traded and displayed by the owners of the metaverse. And this English shoe one of my favorite shoe companies, Clark's, also recently unveiled the online tournament using Roblox platform where users can win unique virtual goods. And like around Valentine's Day, I decided to get myself some stuff from Zara. And then I went to Zara and I found out they were selling metaverse. They were selling virtual boots for like $120. I mean, this is virtual and not something you can wear, but it's virtual. So you can see all these companies are trying to use metaverse to connect to Gen Z, or even though I'm not Gen Z, but they see this as a new way of reaching to their new additional target audience. And we'll see more and more advanced AR, VR, XR, MR, blended reality, hologram technologies will be developed more and more. In fact, I attended the CES conference this year. You see there's a ton of innovation in this area. So more advanced AR content and tools and new hologram technologies will become available. Like Disney has filed a patent for AR without the need of the used devices and glasses. And advanced VR technologies have more lightweight and more capable headsets from companies, including Meta, Samsung, HTC. Those will have eye tracking technology which has more realistic sound and to complete and better experience. Blended reality glasses innovation will also be from companies like Google, Apple, beyond that, we can expect to see more developments in the haptic suits, haptic gloves, and omnidirectional treadmills to create consumer metaverse experiences that are even more realistic and immersive. In several, startups are even experimenting with technology which enable to introduce smells into the virtual experiences. So you'll see virtual kitchen, virtual restaurants, that kind of use cases. And there'll be more advanced avatar technology, because today the avatar, they all look like cartoonish, but you'll see more and more metaverse experiences will involve avatars that represent us, like real humans in the digital world. So more photorealistic technology that will allow us to look almost exactly like what we do in the real world. There's this company called Ready Player Me. It's a 3D metaverse creator company. It lets us create avatars that can be dropped into many different virtual worlds and environments rather than being restricted to just one platform. So if I want to be Mickey Mouse, I can be Mickey Mouse in several, metaverses. I just realized I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go quicker. So Avatar will adopt more of our unique gestures and body languages. And also you see AI is going to be used a lot to improve that. So AIGC, AI generated content, can be used to improve the efficiency of the content creation. And here I have an example. Baidu, they had this concert with this real person singer. She's singing some song, and then there's this avatar interacting with him, singing a song and interacting with him. And this is a total AI generated content. So it's very exciting. A real person can interact with an AI generated avatar, and they can converse. And what's the difference between Web3? You heard me talking about Web3 and Metaverse. And so I just want to clarify, for people who are not very familiar, because they are very much related, especially a lot of technologies are overlapping. So first of all, the difference from a mission standpoint, Web3 is about decentralized ownership and control and putting the web in the hands of its users and economy. And Metaverse is all about this immersive experience. And the anchor technology, Web3 is built on, blockchain. And Metaverse is, you got AR, VR, digital currency, also blockchain. So Web3 is a new set of standards people are trying to set for the next generation web, and Metaverse is about gaming, social media, retail, that kind of immersive experiences. What are the shared common ground? First of all, both of them are so new, they're evolving, fast. And AI is definitely very key for both, and blockchain is also used for both. And I just want to say both are in the early stages. Who knows? Maybe eventually we'll build the metaverse that works global, just like the internet. When we first had the internet, we had the internet, right, that works globally. But then every company, they have their own intranet, right, or for specific vertical or industry. So maybe in the future, the Web3 and the metaverse will converge, or they're going to stay separate. We don't know. But before that happens, industries and companies will build their own metaverse, and because you just can't wait that long to complete that big vision. So metaverse technology, or metaverse, this trend is going to create, these are the four stakeholders. Consumers, they'll have questions about, okay, in the metaverse world, will I be able to use the digital wallet like the one I have in my pocket? Well, how can I keep someone from stealing my identity or my resources? How will I see and interact with, when there are thousands of other people around me and I don't even know if I can trust them, because everybody come out as a virtual avatar? And how do I download software, that kind of stuff? And from a content creator, like I said, there's a content economy. Now, metaverse, you're gonna, in the metaverse, users, participants will be able to contribute content and improve the world, improve the metaverse experience themselves. So content creators were gonna ask, how can I protect my work from unauthorized duplication? Will my work look the same in your different metaverses? And how can I prevent misuse? And from a developer standpoint, they'll ask, how do I know if the capabilities of my visitors of the best for the best experience? How do I get paid? How do I release content? From a service providers, they care about how to shape their services to meet the latency and bandwidth needs. What data will I collect to make the most of the intelligent business decisions? And how do I protect people's identities? So all of this, we still have so many questions that need to be answered. Like at the beginning of the talk, I was saying, we still have a lot of questions. There's still a lot of technology gaps. So we need to work together as an industry to find answers and build technologies. And Linux Foundation recently launched Open Metaverse Foundation. The mission is to create open software and standards to enable portability, interoperability of the open global scalable metaverse to support the interactive immersive experiences. And their goal is not to build the metaverse, but to provide a platform for people to collaborate and to really understand all these issues and find solutions and build, provide eventually provide standards. So they have all these groups, in special interest groups. The approach is bottom up, right? So they have all these interest groups like users, transaction, digital assets, virtual world simulation, AI, networking, security, and legal. So all these different groups where people can come, if you care about specific area, you can go and work with like-minded people and then, come up with some software, some code, and maybe standards for that area. And if you are interested, there's an Open Metaverse Summit coming up in May in Vancouver, which is a part of the Linux Foundation Open Source Summit. And please, feel free to register and attend. That's it. Sorry for running 5 minutes late, but that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Annie, there are a lot of questions, and I think metaverse is a very, very interesting topic, and I think it's also polarizing because a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions about a technology that is, in my opinion, at a very nascent stage of development. As someone personally who I work for the Web3 industry and the metaverse industry, I kind of understand both of these industries are very new. In fact, Web3's use cases are limited as of now, primarily to DeFi and governance, which is now slowly expanding. So there are a lot of questions, and we have a little time on our hands. So should we take in a few questions?
If you have time, and then also, this thing is so new and it's so broad. So I don't know if I can answer all the questions. I'll try.
Yeah, so there are some basic questions. So if we can, so there is a question from Dravid. He has asked, can distributed ledger be used to store all the transactions that happen in the metaverse? Like if we buy land and sell land with tokens, etc.
Yeah, that's part of it. The technologies, that's part of that. And later, actually, the next talk, Wenjing is going to talk about digital wallet. And and you'll have more that kind of information in that area. Basically, you need to build trust, right? There's also authentication and trust. There's this whole thing to make sure that we're protecting assets, protecting identity, and there's a lot of trust that needs to be built into the system. Yes, definitely. Blockchain, ledger, those technologies will be part of the metaverse, especially for commerce in the metaverse.
Okay, so it's a very interesting because I think Web3 is a use case specifically meant for places where there is a deficit of trust, and metaverse is where you kind of need that to run it more efficiently. There are questions regarding like ChatGPT, like how ChatGPT cannot interact with a blockchain. So I think it's an interesting take on how ChatGPT might, play a part in this whole development of the metaverse.
Yeah, I think ChatGPT is definitely going to be part of it because you're going to have AI generated content, right? And in the metaverse, and ChatGPT is just one technology that can be used in the metaverse. So I can see moving forward. Yeah, well, first of all, AI definitely plays a huge part in the metaverse, and then with ChatGPT, you can have AI generated content. Like the example I show you, Baidu, right? The concert, the singer was singing with a virtual avatar, and the avatar will try to interact with the singer. And it's all user-generated content. I think ChatGPT, there's still a lot of questions about ChatGPT. It's just very hard. And so like I said, I can't answer all the questions about that, but I do think it has a lot of potential. in generating, content, especially like virtual assistants in the area of virtual assistants in the metaverse. Yeah, ChatGTP definitely plays a role in that.
Got it. I think there's a question regarding the VR headsets and its viability, but I guess I feel the metaverse based around VR headsets is a kind of a more Facebook or a Meta thing, because not all metaverses do come on Meta, like on the VR headsets, which is, I guess, a
Yeah.
common misconception that people have about metaverses in general.
Yeah, I think so. I totally agree. I mean, this is why there's a Linux Foundation came up with the Open Metaverse Foundation, because we believe that metaverse should not be dominated by one company or a couple, a few like big companies. It should be built. It's same as Web3, right? It should be built with democracy. So I think this is very exciting. I went to this conference. They were saying this is our opportunity to build something that's truly for everyone, and it's not dominated by one company. Because when it's dominated by one company, it's biased. A lot of things are built with bias, right? So, so that's why having a neutral ground such as Open Metaverse Foundation would help, because then you can come in and everybody's equal. But at the same time, if you want to do things in a democracy, with democracy, sometimes it takes a little bit longer because you want to embrace a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah. I think the initial internet was also built around those foundations, and then later it gone kind of muddled up. So hopefully this time we do a better job. There are some comments about, like, if we have platforms like YouTube or Twitch or Instagram where we can monetize content, then why would we choose a rather complex platform for the same? Also, as metaverse is being marketed, it seems that the initial investment will be so high that it will be difficult for a common man to afford. I guess if I have to answer this as a community manager in a metaverse related job, I would answer this in a way is that just because Facebook exists doesn't mean that TikTok need not to be made, right?
Yeah.
That's a similar fashion. Just because the current social media exists doesn't mean that the metaverse does not need to be exist. And answering, I think we have answered the second part of the question, where you actually don't need complicated hardware to run a metaverse anymore, because our phones, our smartphones and our laptops have become more than enough capable of running any sort of heavy metaverses with all sorts of 3D rendering without a sweat. So, but I would love to know your opinion about this, Annie.
Wow, this is such a broad question. So you're saying, it's going to be like hardware independent? Is that what you're saying? We don't need a specific kind of devices? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the question is basically saying that if YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter exist where we can monetize content, why do we need a metaverse? And then the second.
Yeah, but well, first of all, let's address that one. Well, Instagram, this is all still 2D, right? Metaverse is a 3D experience. So that's the difference. So we're saying we're moving from 2D to 3D, right? So it's an immersive experience. So content, and then the kind of content you generated, it's very different. I mean, this is wild. I mean, I went to that Open 3D conference. I feel like I'm in this like wild, science fiction world. I mean, the imagination is just crazy. I mean, you can go into like the hologram experience, right? I covered earlier. Can you imagine going to a metaverse and being able to talk to any historical figure and ask them questions? And then this is where ChatGTP can come in, and ChatGTP can archive all the knowledge base about, for example, Lincoln. And you can go into this metaverse and say, I would like to have a conversation with Lincoln, I mean, and so with that, you do need to have special technologies. I mean, I don't think a laptop can offer that. You need to have like hologram, that kind of technology. So in fact, I think what's one of the biggest challenges of metaverse today is those devices, the glasses are too big, the goggles are too big. Eventually, we want to get to a point that, you don't have to wear big glasses, or you don't even have to wear glasses to enter a virtual world. And that part is, I would think that's the hurdle that we need to, get past. And then as far as content creation is very interesting. I listened to some of the panel discussions at CES, and you see this this consumer branding people are participating in metaverse discussions. company, all these branding departments, they are looking to metaverse as an additional channel, like I said. And then there's this content creation, this content economy, creator economy. That's something that's new. I mean, right now with the Instagram, yeah, these people, do Instagram, they make a lot of money from Instagram or, TikTok or, YouTube. But this is going to be even more. You can monetize on the avatar you created. They can monetize the game you created. People can create games now, and then also in the future, if you don't like how the game plays, you can modify the game. And then, if more people enjoy the game you created, then maybe you'll make money from the games that you created. Yeah.
It's such a fascinating concept. I mean, the questions keep coming, and I think this would take another hour to answer all of the doubts that people have. But you can definitely reach out to us. You can tag us on Twitter. Maybe we can try to answer some of the questions there. You can keep interacting with us in the chat section. If you have some time, we'll try to answer your questions there. But thank you so much, Annie, for the wonderful session. And I think this has evoked a lot of thought and questions in the minds of our listeners. And I hope that they come back with more innovative solutions in the metaverse. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then just make sure if you guys are interested, definitely check out Open Metaverse Foundation. Anybody can join, can participate, and you can go listen. There are a lot more like smarter people than me who know about metaverse there. So just check it out. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Now it's my favorite time of our session, because now I get to invoke my inner Oprah and give out giveaways, prizes to our raffle winners. So everyone, I hope you have been tweeting. So you have to use your hashtag CNM Summit 2023, and you have to tag at Click2Cloud Inc. And you have to tell us what did you like about. So the first winner my team has chosen is, I'm going to quickly present my screen and show you guys who's the first winner. And I'll ask them to basically raise their hand in the chat so that I can quickly bring them on board. Yes, my first winner is Gaurav Chaudhary. Gaurav, if you're there in the chat, just quickly go and raise your hand. I'll quickly give you the access. If you're in the participants, just go and raise your hand. Yes, I found you, Gaurav. Oops, I found you, then I lost you. Where you, Gaurav? Yes, I found you. Okay, I'm allowing you to talk. Let me know when you can speak, Gaurav. Yes. Hi, Gaurav. Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, hello.
Awesome. Hi, Gaurav. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
I am doing great, man. So what we're going to do is going to play a small game. Okay. We're going to play the raffle. Now, what you have to do simply is to say start whenever you're ready, and we'll spin the wheel. Whatever you land on, that would be your prize. So you have a t-shirt, you have a smartwatch, you have a Bluetooth speaker, you have wireless headphones, and a lot more to play for. Are you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. So just when you're ready, say start.
Start. Yeah.
Congratulations. So Gaurav, you have won a very special Click2Cloud Cloud and Metaverse Summit goodie. So if you, I will DM you the details. Make sure your DMs are open on Twitter. So I'll DM you the details about what you have to do to win the giveaway. Basically, I'll ask for some basic information so that I can either ship you or I can tell you the instructions. Okay. Make sure your DMs are open.
Yes.
But I get to be Oprah in this. So thank you so much, Gaurav.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope to see you in the rest of the session.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that was a simple, quick raffle. So now, guys, you know the drill now, okay? All you have to do is tweet, use the hashtag CNM Summit 2023, and tag us with at Click2Cloud Inc. That's all you have to do. And you have to tell us, what did you like about the summit. What specific question intrigued you? What specific sessions highlight was the highlight for you of the event? So if you have any questions like that, make sure you tell us on Twitter, and I'll pull you in the next raffle. Okay, all set. Let's move on. Just give me a second. Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have Yong Hee with us, who will be our next speaker. Yong Hee is the principal software and solutions architect at FutureWay, and he will be speaking on DORA, or data flow oriented robotic architecture, which is a topic that I'm personally very interested to listen to. So Yong, if you're there, over to you. Yes. Hello.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me share my screen. Where's my screen? Desktop, yeah, desktop. Share.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, you can see my screen. Great. Yes, my name is Yang He. I'm a software architect at the FutureWay Technology. Today I'm going to talk about this DORA open source project. It's data flow oriented robotic architecture. And let's see. Okay. I'm going to describe why we need this DORA, data flow oriented robotic architecture. Then I'll give a brief introduction on the high level architecture. Then I'll talk about this our open source project on GitHub, and give a summary. Basically, robotic industry right now is facing a very historic development opportunities. We know all this green energy vehicle, like electric car, intelligent car industry, from Tesla to all these new entries, and also legacy automotive manufacturer. They all in this big digital transformation, and during this transformation, we have this new electric architecture that we call it a software-defined vehicle, and the software architecture inside the car actually have this big transformation from used to be hardware-oriented distributed architecture to a software-defined or software-oriented architecture. And sometimes we call it software-oriented architecture, centralized computing platform. And all bunch of application also spun out. It's like a adaptive autonomous driving system, a robot taxi application. In that car, actually, inside the car, actually we have more and more computing power with many different hardware architecture as well. And we need also car will need cloud collaboration. And from development side, we also need DevOps practice. And of course, when you have a lot of software inside the car, it needs security and trustworthiness. That's one area. Second area is there are so many service robots right now. Actually, due to the shortage of workers, there are lots of automation work actually done by the robot. If you go to a restaurant, now they have go to a restaurant, now you can see there's some robot doing delivery for you. And also another domain is industry. Industry 4.0, you sometimes call is software-defined automation. And so you have a lot of very similar pattern. Basically, they through the cloud, they control all the machines. So we actually face this big opportunity in this domain. And however, from open source perspective, the robotic OS is open source project. Robotic OS is world leading robotic computing platform. It's been around for 15 years. It's based on, actually started from Stanford 15, 16 years ago. And they have a core software base, like maybe around 400,000 lines of code, but have a large ecosystem, maybe 100 million lines of code. Actually, in the car itself, the legacy car, we often say is have about 100 million lines of code as well, because they have so many ECUs, we call it microcontrollers, for all different features. But now all those controllers features are centralized in a big computer like Tesla lead the trend. However, this software or this open source project, they have big ecosystem, but it's based on the old ICT technology. Mostly do not have a clear, let's say, do not have a, from day one, have a cloud integration building. And also, its iteration is very slow, and it's based on C++ code. And that is very hard to maintain. So we need this new platform or new open source project, like to introduce all this new modern ICT technology, such as cloud collaboration, low cost development, and DevOps practice. So here I'm going to, from high level, is what means a data flow oriented architecture. Basically, if you look at all the, they have this domain, like automation software defined vehicle or automation. They have a actually the software pattern or use case workload pattern is more like a data flow. Basically, what you got is from sensor input, like you have a camera, video streams coming, your LiDAR stream coming, or you have GPS signal coming. It's all from sensor input coming. You do some machine learning model to do a perception, then do some localization based on all this input, then do planning, route planning, local planning, then do through the output. And for the industry robot, it's all similar. Also have a sensor input and actuator output. So we're trying to build is that this have a data flow computing. You can do a task flow or data flow, and you can schedule that and cross from vehicle robot to edge computing to the cloud. So you can have seamless data flow computing all the way from your end device to the cloud. And through, on top of that, then you can build on top this middleware. We call this Dora open source middleware. You can leverage other middlewares to bridge all those together. You can share the computing, share data. So we're trying to here also from API, of course, from user workload perspective, then what's the right level of abstraction for APIs? For this particular project, the core of the data flow computing, we're using the Rust language. As you know, the Rust language compared to C++ is a memory safe language and with similar performance basically zero cost abstraction. And so we are building this Flow, the DORA framework, with APIs that they support Rust language binding or C+ binding and Python binding. And the data flow itself is described declaratively, use a YAML, and we put a lot of consideration into performance and how to expand to new features. We're talking today. We're talking about all the metaverse, etc., and the cloud. Basically, here the one use cases. Actually, I just use the robot or car, like a low-speed robot example. Here I'm building like you have a simulated world and a real world. So basically, we can use the simulate. I'm going to talk in the open source project itself. Is basically you can use the simulations like a Kala, like that's like a autonomous driving simulation. We can simulate ego car or ego robot. They can provide all the sensors to the your edge device. For example, here I assume this low-speed robot or low-speed car have a limited hardware, do not have all the powerful GPUs to do all the machine learning model inference. So they can pass that data stream or video stream, etc., to the edge device. The edge device have a powerful GPU. You can do perceptions, localizations, and then you send that to the cloud to do simulation, to do other high-level computation like planning, mapping, fleet management, etc. Then you give a plan control back to the actuator to control the device. That device could be the simulated, like a digital twin. You could be a simulated object or device or real device. Here, in our open source project here, we are building is the two part. One is the framework. It's called DORA. We are building through the using Rust language, and through binding, we are introducing this DevOps for both development and the production. Is that for the application side, we have called DORA drive, basically through the Python, because there's so many every year, so many papers, so many research, and they publish their paper and model, machine learning model, and algorithm in the Python language. So you can go to huggingface.co or paperwithcode.com. So you can, there's so many different machine learning models right there you can use for perception, for planning, for control, even for control. So we can quickly prototype our workload and application. And if we need to go to production, then we can go to that use a C++ or Rust API binding to with verified models and algorithm we can put into production quickly. So basically, we have this DevOps practice that you can support both fast iteration with Python, and also if we need performance, we can use Rust and the C++. Here, just high level our roadmap, and our code is at DORA.is, github.DORA.is. At high level, we are currently at the 0.1 release. We are working with the open source community, and all the people here, you're welcome to join us to contribute. And so let me get quickly to introduce here our code structure is at github.com. So the framework is built on using Rust language. If I go to quickly look at one example, if you can see our, you can go to the data flow. You can see where, let's see, what my middleware communication is IceRox or other like a Zeno. We can do different middleware. Then you just describe what's your input and output to form this data flow. And also more interesting actually is our Dora drive program folder. Basically, it's a Python implementation for the autonomous driving. We have a different machine learning models. We call the operators. That's basically data flow vertex. You can flow. You can do all this different machine learning and interact with simulated simulation platform. We are working with Color Simulator right now. Actually, in China this year, we are hosting the algorithm competition. Algorithm competition basically where you can form your own, use your own algorithm to form your own data flow. Like here, here just a Dora leaderboard. We use Oasis. So we're using like IceRox as a shared memory middleware. So you can do different perception and some GPS and etc. object location. So they have all different machine learning. So with and the PID control basically is you control your car, Ego car. So this year in China, actually also welcome other people from the world to join us on this leaderboard. We call the Oasis leaderboard competition. So you can replace your own algorithm with your own graph and to compete and see which algorithm is better for the for like let's say land detection, traffic light detection, or planning, or end-to-end model, etc. And as a winner, let's say top 5 or 10 team, we are going to have a real car with real EV car. You can do a real like a one camera or 6 camera and video stream or with LiDAR also and SD map. So you can, depending on your algorithm, so you can form different solution and to control the real EV car to do racing, real car competition as well. So this project, basically Dora Drive, here we just give an example application as a starter kit. So for the team or for the people doing the research in this area, if you have, they can plug in their own data flow graph and their own algorithm to participate into this either online simulated competition and offline real car competition. So in summary, we are trying to build this data flow oriented framework that we can unify the middleware and give the workload the user-friendly API to support different language binding and which power, let's say, software-defined vehicle and robotic applications. We hope we are building this software as a ROS1 or ROS2 alternative and beyond, because we're introducing the new ICT technology, especially from a cloud perspective, from language, computer language perspective. And also we are trying to build this from a vehicle to the edge to a cloud environment. And I'm not sure how many people know Rust language, but the Rust language, the next generation of, we call it safe system language. It's from many should be C and C++ in terms of development speed and quality. Of course, give you memory safety, and also through the Python API, we can provide the low code rapid development environment for education research. Actually, Dora and Dora Drive, one of our main focus for this open source project is for education and research. So they can adapt from a university student and let's say master student, PhD student, they can quickly adapt the latest machine learning models and algorithms into this mobility and robotic application. And this project is 100% open source and welcome contributors around the world. I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Yang. I think robotics is another one such field which, along with the metaverse, is up and coming. I think in the few years that we've seen in the past few years, robotics has really taken up. We're seeing more and more industries incorporating robotics into their in their use cases and using it in more and more diverse fields. So it was a very interesting concept, and especially when this is such an important open source tool. So I would request Yong if you could share the GitHub repo, the public GitHub repository link in the chat with everyone, so that if someone wants to try out, they can do so as well.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yonghi, that was a really good presentation today. I thoroughly enjoyed, and it looks like a very cutting edge idea, especially from real-time OS perspective, and the way you are handling on the edge computing side, where you are processing the high-end data coming from the cars, and it could be a very cutting edge technology. We would be interested in being part of your innovation lab that you are creating in China this year. So many of the community member would like to fork the code and probably try it out and support in the current system.
Yeah, definitely this is very exciting. We are working with like 20 or so universities, because it's a big transformation in this industry from electrification of the car to the intelligence of the car and the robot itself. Actually, electric car, if you look at Tesla, actually it's a robot, right? It's a robot controlled by computer. A lot of the features are controlled by computer.
Yeah.
And this, if you know the legacy car, like 10 years ago, that's 5 years ago before Tesla, inside the car actually have 100 million line of code, but their code mostly is microcontroller code. Depending on features. If you have more features, you have more microcontroller. Like an Audi car, you have over 100 microcontrollers, right? They just control particular one feature, like your power window, right? Power window, your engine monitoring, etc., etc. But the trend is all these functions are going to be centralized, and when you centralize that, actually you virtualize all this computing into your centralized computer. Actually, the computer itself inside the car become much more powerful. They have maybe many GPUs, many computing cores. So what we're trying to do is, in this project, actually we are not saying we are going to do a production, but more target for the education and for the research and education. So the people, we can let the people easy to learn this robotic application and also the intelligent car application. And we're building actually online simulation, use Kala. If you look at the metaverse is similar. It's a digital twin. You have your virtualized world. Actually, in here we are even for autonomous driving simulation, you have a virtualized world. You have ego car running. You have all this other NPC car with their own AI maybe control the behavior. So you are trying to compete with the car on the road, right? You try to do detection, you try to navigate this urban environment. So that's a simulation. And once you simulate, basically you prove your algorithm is good enough, then you can try on the real world, real road. So it's welcome people here to join this if you are in this field.
Yep. We have like people joining from all over the places. There are YouTube channel. People are watching in different institution right now. There are people who are joined through Zoom meeting. There are other live feeds that are on. So we are getting quite a bit of knowledge, and we'll proceed to the next session. So over to you, Nikhil.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Great session. It was a wonderful session.
For all the people listening, we have shared the resources, the GitHub repository in the chat. All the people watching this on other platforms, we'll try to push it there as well, either in the description of the YouTube video or in the chat when the moderators can share the link. But thank you so much, Yong. Thank you so much for taking out the time and enlightening us about this very exciting field of robotics, which I'm a personal big fan of. But we have our next session lined up for you. We have Wenjing Chu, who's the Senior Director of Technology and Strategy at FutureWay. And we have him today, as Annie mentioned, to talk about Open Wallet Foundation and give us an overview of the opportunities in the metaverse.
I guess first we want to talk about what is, a digital wallet, what is an open wallet. So we are envisioning a digital wallet that is a very general purpose. So in this picture, we're showing different ways that that a wallet may be used or embedded, right? So you can think of a wallet in a web browser, which we don't have today. Some of the very experimental browsers does trying to do a wallet feature, but the Open Wallet Foundation will probably make a open source implementation that can be native and embedded into all the browsers. So that's one. Mobile is the one that we use. Most of the people use a digital wallet most frequently right now. But most of the wallet we use, they are either specialized, so basically they are for a particular bank, for example, or they are closed. For instance, Apple's wallet, you will only be able to use Apple services for that wallet. So a digital wallet in open source community would enable a open and a general purpose wallet for all mobile ecosystems. So that's very important to all consumers. It can be used in the cloud, of course, and you will have a virtualized wallet that can be used in e-commerce and for our purpose metaverse, right? It can be a hardware piece. Potentially, you could have a little sticker or different kind of hardware devices, maybe your watch, for example. All that can be a form of digital wallet. And headset for metaverse use, and of course, desktop and computers. So, and then you look at it in the middle is basically what is in your wallet, right? Our common things like, cash payment, debit, credit cards, in-app payments. Like I was trying to do sign up a event for tomorrow, which is Saturday for me. And I have a payment I can easily do, but these workflows are not working properly because the wallets we have today are all locked by a particular company in a specialized account. So there's no general purpose wallet for consumers to use. So I can't do that. I'll have to type in, even though my credit card and other information are already in my digital wallet, but I cannot use it for in-app payments. Tickets, boarding passes, travel cards, your favorite discount cards, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs, driver license, digital ID cards like your passport or your student cards or your employee cards, all of that, and with cars and room keys and also passkeys that would, which probably will replace password. And so all your login, you don't have to deal with that anymore. Don't have to remember so many account numbers and passwords. So just give you the general sense of what a general purpose open wallet will look like. And then a lot of people start to think about this. It's important to recognize what the wallet really is not just a way we thinking about keeping your money or IDs, right? It's going to be as essential as browsers, and I'm going to show you why. A lot of the reasons that in the past, well, we use services online. The wallets are essentially giving us a kind of control over our digital life. So in the past, we are always accustomed to a client and server model. So you have web servers, which owns the service and contains all our private information, our payment information, our purchase history, right? Everything is in the server side. The client has nothing. And so it becomes very symmetric, I think, in the relationship, so that consumers feel like we are leaving a lot of things at the hand of the web servers, and the web servers can lose that data if the hacker gets into it, because there are so much concentrated data in that space. So all those reasons, and we don't really have a direct control over the digital transaction or digital life that's online today. And the wallet is going to change that. So very similar to how browser changed how we interact with online on the internet or for digital services, the wallet will actually fundamentally change how we experience those. Okay, so if we think back how we come about, the browsers, this is you go back in the early, sometime in the 90s, right? People will come up with great ideas like Tim Berners-Lee and others will come up with the idea of web pages and web protocols. And so those eventually get specified as standards, right? So HTTP, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, we have a whole set of standards define what we think of as web today. And then later on, open source projects start to pop up, which will go define both like browser, which is a client side, but also the famous LAMP stack, for example, help you to create web servers, right? So we take up the browser as an example. Blink is the engine, which eventually both like a Chrome and Edge and others, the commercial browsers would be actually built on top of. So that's the picture we eventually come down to. Why we do that? Because it cuts a lot of costs, it's a lot more cost efficiency for everybody. It shortens time to market, and more importantly, it creates greater interoperability. So all the browsers and pages, you can design your page. You don't have to worry too much about whether the browser is going to support it or not. For people who experienced this back in the 90s, I think you would actually have to worry because they are not quite consistent with each other. So that's eventually translating into basically the benefits for all consumers with a very efficient ecosystem. So that's what the Open Wallet Foundation want to do. We want to really replicate this success story, replicate this pattern of development of an ecosystem in large scale. So in the wallet space, we have a lot of standards that's being developed. Some are more mature than others. So here are some examples. The World Wide Web Consortium defined VC's verified credentials. So that gives us a decentralized and more privacy-preserving credentials like our IDs or our diploma, etc. Right? So that is a very important standard. ISO 18013, which defines a mobile driver license. So some of the, now in US, some of the states already starting deploying them, and we'll probably see international adoption on that too. The ERC standards help us to define payments and credit cards, for example, etc. And so there are many of these, like FIDO is what we just talked about, passkey that we hope it will eventually replace all the passwords. On the other side, there's another kind of standards, which is like in even, in every jurisdictions, like European Union, in India, in China, and North America, US, all of them would probably define certain rules, because if we're talking about payment and financial services, there are a lot of regulations, right? IDs have a lot of formal regulations too. And the EU also have a lot of data protection regulation. So, so all those will become rules, and those rules are in a way a standard as well, and they are also documented, well defined. So the Open Wallet Foundation will be open source community, which really take these standards and rules and implement them as a good quality open source code as a engine or a library of shared components. And these components, similar to a web engine, right, will allow then commercial vendors to actually implement their wallet as they see needed in their application. So that, again, the benefits are a better cost efficiency for the whole ecosystem, shorter time to market, greater interoperability, and it eventually translates many benefits to the consumers and users. And the users will, have better security, have better protection of their privacy, better control over their personal data, and more convenient, easier to understand and use, and ultimately, cost less and have more benefits. So that's what we attempt to do. And just to quickly recap, our the foundation's focus area is going to be less on governance, because that will be probably in the standards as well as in many of the regional regulations, trust frameworks and standards, and those are very much work in progress in many organizations and entities already. And what's really missing is how do we put all these together, integrate them together into a working software. So that's what we can be focused on. So we come up with a short level of mission statement. It's really to drive global adoption of open, secure, and interoperable digital wallet solutions, and provide access to expertise and advice through our government advisory council. So this is one of the council that we will attract representatives from different governments to advise us on their rules and regulations. And then the foundation aims to set best practices for digital wallet technology, and through a collaboration on standard-based open source software. And then think about all the parties in the ecosystem, right? You can have issuers who are issuing IDs or issuing financial instruments and assets, wallet providers who are basically the software developers, for example, and the reliant parties, which are like the consumers, and it could all be all of us, right? Because we oftentimes need to do logging and checking people's ID, or checking whether the money is from the right place, whether the account has the money, etc. All those would be the reliant parties. So all of them are within the same ecosystem, and so they can all use the Open Wallet Foundation's software to bootstrap implementations, which will also preserve user choice and security and privacy. This slide, I want to just capture the overall structure of the foundation. It will be based in Linux Foundation Europe, and so it's very open to all the global participation. We very much want to see it just not just North America and Europe, but also in India, China, and everywhere in the world to really join in. This, even though it sounds like a very high tech thing, but I think it impacts everybody. So people can join. With technical expertise, with expertise in wallet and regulation, for example, but you can also participate as a consumer. Basically, you can help specify what are the requirements for consumer, what kind of privacy protection we need to have, and also what are the workflow. For example, is very convenient and intuitive to end consumers, right? A lot of times, the technology that a engineer designed may not fit very well with human experience, and those becomes oftentimes the gap between really a product and the end user. So that's another way to contribute. We have then a governing board. And I'm very proud to be a member of the initial board. And also we have a government advisory council that is open to not only government agencies around the world, but also organizations associated with government, like semi-government organizations that oftentimes do this kind of standardization representing their country can be in this council as well. And then we have a technical advisory council which help us to coordinate all different projects. And the key or the main work will be done within projects. So this project, I'm sure in the next weeks or months, a lot of a new project will be created to help us implement all these components. So so that's roughly this structural foundation. It is quite common. It's sometimes called umbrella foundation. So this will be example of that, right? So if it's a commercial entity, corporations join as a certain level of a member, they will pay a membership fee to sponsor the project, but all the nonprofit and public sector parties can participate for free. And also anyone, whether it's company or individual or anybody, you can always participate and join, contribute code for free, no matter in whichever level you want. So all of those doesn't require any financial contribution at all. It's just really your expertise and your dedication is what we're looking for. So the companies that you see in the governing board and the different levels of membership are basically paying a fee to sponsor so that the rest of us don't have to pay. So that's what it is. And we've got, I don't have all the members. I've shown the 4 premier level members, but numerous members already joined in the very short period of time. And so they can be found in the web page. I don't have all the list of names for here. But there are many of the companies and especially organizations who joined 2 days ago in the launch event. So I do have their name and the organization here. And I know some of them that, they're all experts in their respective field. I think I can highlight a few of them. For example, OpenID Foundation. You will probably know many of our so-called federated login, right? If you log in through Google or log in through Facebook, that's using OpenID standards. The Trust of IP, it is another organization specifying a lot of the architecture and standards for how to do a decentralized trust. So that's another one that I've been involved with. Hyperledger, you probably know there's many of the blockchains, as well as identity and digital assets. Open source software are very often based on Hyperledger. There will be a lot. You will see a lot of European entities in the foundation, because European Union has a it's called EUID, European Union Digital Identity Initiative, that is being pushed to it's going to be launched sometime this year. So there's a lot of activity in making that a reality as soon as possible. So that's another area I think is very interesting, and that will be a key focus area for Open Wallet Foundation. So I'll leave you with some web link, as well as the press release link over here on Newswire. The launch webinar is on YouTube. Which goes into some of the information I talked about, but also into all the different organizations, why they see it that the wallet is important and critical. And finally, there's a report why the world needs an open source wallet right now. It's just released also 2 days ago, and it's a very nice read, and I would strongly recommend to everyone. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to quickly about the opportunities. So I'm going to talk basically these 6 areas. I hope it will all come across easily for everyone. The first is identity and avatars. So naturally, when we are in Metaverse, it's going to be very immersive. It's really linked to our world and our personal space. So all the identity issues that we already have with normal website is going to be substantially more critical to us. And also the avatar that actually represent us in the metaverse space would be considered a type of identity. So all of those created a lot of great question about how do we have control of our own private data? What does that mean to have control? Right? To have control, you need to own something, and the wallet is the thing you will own, allow you to control things. So like you have a key, then you can control the access of a house, right? So the wallet is that key, and so that's extremely important in order to have a good privacy and a strong identity to avoid fake or other fraud in the metaverse. So that's number one. Second one is authentic content. So again, in the metaverse, just like us, we have music, videos, etc., and 3D models and 3D content are extremely hard to make. So they are very costly. And so if we don't have authentic control of those media, very few people are going to go create those because they will be all copied and gone, right? So also that the fake media will become even more difficult to control. So authenticity is both for avoiding fake, but also is for creating value for the creator. So that's extremely important. And again, what's the key to do that? You need a wallet, right? And so the wallet is your key to really produce authentic information and also consume authentic information. The third one is digital assets. So this one you may be much more familiar, cryptos, NFTs, and all that kinds of things that we do have value because it can be authenticated. So it has a strong authentication associated with the asset, who created it, who owned it, and who sold it to whom, right? And so all of that, how do you get all that into place? And you need a wallet. So today, people use crypto wallet, but crypto wallets are extremely difficult to use. And you probably heard from the news, people forgot the key and they lost millions, sometimes, even billions in the news, right? And so how do we make that very easy to use for every individual, not a few nerds that do crypto, and you need a good quality wallet. Okay, so the fourth one I put in transactions, so you can do payments, whether it's in the blockchain world using digital currency, but also just any kind of a regular payments, so cash payments, debits, or a credit card payments, and all those transactions. It's really crucial for the metaverse to have a commercial space for that. So that's hopefully very obvious. And the fifth one is privacy. So I'll probably skip this because we've talked quite a bit already. And the sixth one is AI bots and agents. So every time that we talk about metaverse, we almost, I think, inevitably will lead to the conclusion that a lot of the content, a lot of interactions, etc., that's in the metaverse, whether it's our own avatar or a customer service agent or a bot that modulate a room, for example, most of those will be AI bots. And so that is a very likely scenario. We also know that a lot of content, 3D content, it will be extremely hard to create by people individually. So a lot of those will be also AI bot generated as well. So that creates the question of how do we tell an AI bot and human apart? How do we know which bot are we talking to? How do you know which bot is a fake that's trying to commit fraud? Another one is trying to help you, and all those require a strong identification and authentication. And so that's where also Open Wallet can play a critical role for that. So I hope I give you some good information overview on the Open Wallet Foundation, as well as why the Open Wallet will be a critical piece for the metaverse. And I will leave with you the link of information and an open invitation for everyone to join the Open Wallet Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wenjing. This is such an important topic for our generation, I guess. Apart from us crypto nerds who are kind of aware about how to operate a crypto wallet, you rightfully pointed out that it's very difficult for a normal human, for a normal user to interact on a crypto wallet. So creating an open source, transparent, and secure digital wallet system is, I think, the need of the hour. Especially the point where you mentioned about identities. I think our digital identities have become more important than ever, right? Like 5 years ago, if I needed a job, I literally had to visit an office with a printed resume. But now just my digital identity on LinkedIn can land me jobs. And authenticating stuff that we say put out on LinkedIn is as important as doing a background check on an employee while they are being hired. So I think that Open Wallet Foundation and what they're doing is absolutely crucial for the internet of the future. And I'd love to explore more. So if you can share the resources in the chat section so that our community can basically take care and have a read at some of the documentation.
Absolutely. So let me cut most of this page here. And I can do it on the chat window.
Yeah, you can send it to everyone.
All right. Okay. All right. So I hope those links would work for everyone. Yeah. So just echo what you just said. I think the best way to think of today's online system is that our rights and our private information and our, I use the word say our digital life basically, which is like sometimes more than half of my time in real life, are somebody's hand, somebody else's hand. It's not in our hand, right? We rely on other companies, their goodwill to support us. Luckily, they most of the time support us, okay? I will be fair, right? But however, you can see huge failures on their part. and because they have also no strong incentive to take care of all the consumers. And so it is critical that we have something that is on our hand, and that will be that requires us to not just be a client, but also in a symmetric relationship with a service. So that is a very critical piece to have. Yeah.
Agreed, 100%. With that, thank you so much, Wenjing. I think you've shared it with the panelists. If you could share it with everyone, or maybe I can share it later with everyone in the chat.
Oh, I posted it to the chat, but if somebody can cross-post
Yeah,
it.
I will share it with the rest of the community.
Oh, I see.
No
There's a
worries.
choice here. Oh, okay. Give me a
Correct.
second. There's a choice here. All right. I did it again. Now it's to everyone.
Awesome. So
All right.
everyone do check out the resources and do your own research and do study about this, because this is, I think, one of the most crucial aspects if we are looking at a metaverse-centric internet of the future. Wallet and public and private identity is something that is going to be very, very important in the upcoming days. So thank you so much, Wenjing, for highlighting that for us. And we hope to see you again very, very soon.
Thank you.
Let's move on, people, to our next. Just a second. Now it's again my favorite time on the webinar. I am going to do a raffle again. So I'll quickly go over and present my screen as I have the winner of the next raffle. Just setting up the system for them. Hold on, people. Okay. If Sarah Nevalkar is in the chat, can you please raise your hand? Sarah. Yes, I found you, Sarah. Let me give you a permission to talk. Hello, hello.
Hello, I'm audible.
Yeah.
Hello.
Saran, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to win the raffle. I'm going to quickly present my screen so that you can spin the wheel. Yes. Just a second. Oops, sorry, I think I presented the wrong screen. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, can you see the wheel?
Yeah, yes.
So whenever you're ready, just say hit start.
Start.
Okay, let's go. Let's see what you win. Almost. Well, congratulations, Sarak. You have won a t-shirt. And I will reach out to you on Twitter DM. Make sure your Twitter DMs are open. As soon as the session is completed, I will DM you with the details on what to do next.
Sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. I'm feeling a little more Oprah-ish today. So I'm going to give one more person a chance to basically win some prizes. So I'm going to announce one more name. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Give me a Y in the chat if you guys are ready. Type Y in the chat. Okay, so the next winner is Aman Dekate. If there's an Aman Dekate in the chat, go ahead, raise your hand. Let me find you, Aman. My internet is acting up a little bit. Yes, Aman, I see you. Yes, you are allowed to talk now. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Aman.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So, are you ready to win, Aman?
Yes.
Let's see what you win this time. Let me quickly go over and present my screen again. Hold on. And there's some internet issue with my screen. That's why I'm not able to present. Just give me a second. Yes. Okay. Aman, can you tell me if you can see the screen now? Can you see?
Yes, I can see.
Awesome. Whenever you're ready, hit start.
Yes, spin.
Let's see what we get.
Stop.
Today, Lady Luck is not on the winner's side, guys. I think 3 people have won t-shirts, 3 in a row. So you must do something special, guys. Make sure that you're tweeting nice, and you might even stand a chance to win the second time. So keep tweeting. I will pick more winners as we go on. But with that, let's quickly end the raffle and move on to our next event. Thank you, Aman.
Hello.
Hello. Next up, we have Eric Meyer.
Yes. Hi there.
Hi, Eric.
So
He is a web enthusiast and a developer advocate at Igalia, and he will be speaking on the WebXR open source project. So without wasting any more time, Eric, the stage is all yours.
All right. Well, hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
And I will start sharing. I hope. Uh-oh. It's not sharing my desktop. All right. Okay, let's try this again. I think that's better, hopefully.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. Today's just the day for this sort of thing. Okay, so hello to everyone. My name is, as was said, Eric Meyer. I'm a developer advocate at Igalia, which is an open source consultancy based in Northwest Spain. In case Igalia isn't a familiar name to you, teams at Igalia were the ones who brought CSS Grid to web browsers back in 2017, and more recently brought the has CSS pseudoclass and container queries to various browser engines. We're the #2 contributor to both Chromium and WebKit, second only to Google and Apple, respectively. We also contribute to the Linux kernel. We do a lot of work on embedded devices, automotive-grade Linux, the Steam Deck, Vorwerk appliances, cable set-top boxes, and other such devices. And in the time I have today, I'd actually like to talk to you about the World Wide Web and what it and the metaverse can do for each other. So the web, some of you may be familiar with it, has become an integral part of the world. As of a year or two ago, it was estimated that 5 billion people have used the web. That's nearly 2/3 of all humans of any age. And large portions of commercial transactions happen over the web, although exact figures are much harder to pin down there. And it almost goes without saying that the web contains more information than we can possibly comprehend. And a metaverse without access to all that information.
I'm so sorry, Eric. Sorry to interrupt. There is in the panelists, a lot of people are saying in the chat that the audio is very low. Can you do something with your mic?
Yep, hold on. I can move closer.
Yes, that's perfect.
Is that better? Okay, well, then there will be a microphone.
Yes, much better.
Face, but sorry about that. Okay, so anyway, I was saying about the web that a metaverse without access to all of the information on the web would be hopelessly stunted. And so we at Igalia want to open a window from inside the metaverse onto the web. But on the flip side, we also want to make it easy to add more XR capabilities and features to the existing web. So just take a moment to imagine this Wikipedia page that's about polyhedron, where those example shapes were XR shapes that you could manipulate directly, spinning them to see their construction or pulling them larger to examine the fine details of the great cube-by-cube octahedron being shown there. And being able to pull up this page while in an XR space, and then being able to read what it has to say, and also have interactive 3D shapes would be an ideal fusion of the two worlds. And speaking of Wikipedia, here's an interesting 3D visualization of about 100,000 articles that are grouped into clusters and linked together. I recorded this movie earlier today, as a matter of fact. But I want you to imagine this as a fully 3D space, an XR space, instead of a 2D projection, which is what it is. We actually did check it with XR devices, and it's a 2D projection of a 3D space. But having it actually where all of these clusters can be surrounding you, and you could zoom in into individual clusters to see how an article relates to other articles around it, would be, I think, a really fantastic way of exploring Wikipedia, for example. And just imagine a similar visualization of the web itself, or even the part of the web that you're sort of next to. And that potential, those sorts of potentials, are what the people at the Mozilla Foundation saw when they decided to work on a new browser called Firefox Reality, which was this was launched in 2018 by Mozilla Labs, which is their experimental incubation arm, after a short development period. But by 2021, work on it had basically ceased. And so in 2022, they agreed to hand the project off to Agalia, the open source consultancy I work for. And we decided to rebrand Reality as Wolvik. And we've begun, in the time since that was announced in early 2022, we've begun to update Wolvik's dependencies so that it uses more current engines, and also to expand its capabilities. So we created a website for Wolvik, as one does, where you can read more about Wolvik if you're so inclined. You can also download versions of Wolvik for side loading onto devices if you're working on a device that doesn't have an app store, or if you prefer doing it yourself rather than depending on an app store. And for that matter, from the Wolvik website, you can see our entire code base and contribute to it if you're so inclined via our GitHub repository, because just like Firefox Reality before it, Wolvik is an open source browser. And boiled down to its essentials, our goals for Wolvik are these, some of which I've already talked about. Bringing all of the web into the XR space, making it so that people who are in XR spaces can have the ability to open a window onto the World Wide Web, whether that's Wikipedia or a news site or YouTube or any other website. And we also want to enable that mixture of 2D and 3D experiences that I talked about. But where it says bring web technologies to XR use cases, that means allowing CSS styling and JavaScript in XR contexts, lowering the barriers for entry and creation. And in many ways, what we're talking about is blurring the lines between 2D and 3D experiences where it makes sense to have those lines blurred. For example, like that Wikipedia page I talked about, adding 3D models to it, or allowing a 3D exploration of a set of web pages and their connections. And this is our roadmap. We want to bring Wolvik to more and more devices, and we're working on a way to make it engine independent. What we mean by that is right now it's based on Gecko because that's the engine in Firefox, and we continued the work of Firefox Reality. Where we're looking at making it possible to swap that out for a different browser engine, WebKit or Chromium, as needed for specific use cases, because Gecko is not available on every operating system, on every platform. So there might be cases where a WebKit is a better choice for a given device, or Chromium for that matter. So that way we're not restricted to, the browser is not restricted to just a certain class of devices. And we also want to increase our support of OpenXR, which we just recently added so we can move away from proprietary technology. So as of this moment, Wolvik is available on these devices, and in at least one case is being used as the foundation for much of the user interface in that sort of inside that device's XR space, which highlights an advantage of having a fully featured browser in XR, because device manufacturers can base much or all of their user interface, which includes their app store, on the HTML, CSS, JavaScript stack, and present it all through sort of a Chromeless Wolvik window, which provides maximum flexibility for development sourcing and maximum familiarity for digital designers who are already comfortable with web technologies. And a key part of that is the fact that we're now supporting OpenXR. So OpenXR, if you're not familiar with it, is it's an open specification for XR experiences. XR generally taken to mean extended reality, sort of a mixture of virtual reality and augmented reality. And the OpenXR specification has some high goals. They talk about unifying reality, but the headline aside, I mean, what it says about OpenXR, royalty-free open standard that provides high performance access to XR platforms and devices. And the way that it does that is by taking what used to be a fragmented situation where if you wanted to have a given, like a game engine running on a device, you had to basically port that game engine to the device you were talking about. So a game engine might be already available for Windows situations, but it would have to be ported to Steam Deck or Steam VR, be ported to Oculus, be ported to Magic Leap, and so on and so forth. And WebXR.
Eric, I'm sorry
Yes?
to interrupt you, but your voice is slightly low.
My voice
in
is still
between.
low.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. Anyway, WebXR, which is a similar standard to OpenXR, but it is not exactly the same, that would have to be ported to device after device. But with OpenXR, you can have everything point at the OpenXR layer, and that any device that supports OpenXR will, you can use your game engine or WebXR or whatever in those situations. And this has led a whole lot of companies, this isn't even all of them, but a lot of companies to support OpenXR. So OpenXR is not actually something that we run. It's a product of the Kronos Group, which is an open consortium of various organizations. So we're really excited about OpenXR. We want to continue expanding our support there and our ability to talk to the OpenXR API and support all of the features that it offers. We've also been contributing to OpenXR both in terms of the specifications and actually also with conformance tests to make sure that every implementation of OpenXR is consistent with other implementations of OpenXR. Our commitment to open source isn't limited to XR specifications, though. Open source is fundamentally about community, and it's our goal to base Wolvik on a community. And that means a community model for funding as well, which is actually an inherently radical notion these days and deserves a moment of explanation. I mean, let's just take a minute to think about web browsers as they exist today. Although there are, many browsers, there are really just three major browser engines. There's Apple's WebKit, there's Google's Chromium, and Mozilla's Gecko. And all three are open source, even though they're developed by two very large for-profit companies and a small nonprofit foundation. And Chromium, as you would expect, is funded by Google, and thus by the revenue Google earns from its various endeavors, mostly advertising revenue. WebKit and Gecko, by contrast, are funded by Google. It's literally all paid for by Google because Google pays enormous amounts of money to both Apple and Mozilla to be the default search engine in the browsers they support. So in Apple's case, Google is paying an estimated $15 billion per year to be the default search engine on iOS devices and in macOS desktop searches. For Mozilla, the payment is reported to be about $500 million per year, which is around 95% of the Mozilla Foundation's total funding. And that money comes out of Google's revenues, which again are primarily advertising revenues. So Google's ad business sustains the entire web browser ecosystem. And should those default search deals end for some reason, then the Mozilla Foundation, and by extension, the Gecko engine, is almost certainly just dead. I mean, it could live on as open source code, but there won't be a paid staff of engineers dedicated to working on it. So it is likely to advance much more slowly, if at all. Now, WebKit could be funded by Apple. I mean, Apple has a lot of money too. But would Apple really want to add a $15 billion per year expense to its budget, even with the amount of money that Apple has on hand? That's a lot of money. So who knows if they would support that? And if not, then Chromium is all that's left, at which point Google essentially controls the web technologies, and the future of both. And this is all because the idea that web browsers are free has tied the entire browser ecosystem to Google's ad revenues and its willingness to give its competitors titanic stacks of cash. But there is a better way, one where the community, everyone in the community can work together, each contributing what they can to create a better future. And as I say, open source is fundamentally about community. And community is always more robust. An ecosystem that lacks diversity cannot flourish. Monocultures are inherently fragile and prone to failure. Nothing important should ever have a single point of failure. We don't want to repeat the web's mistakes regarding funding and engine evolution in the metaverse. So we're trying an open source model for the funding of Wolvik. We're partnering with companies like FutureWay, Lynx, and Pluto VR to expand Wolvik and what's possible in XR. And there are actually more partners on the way. I just can't actually mention them yet. And we're also using Open Collective to let companies sponsor Wolvik, and also to give individuals the chance to contribute to Wolvik's funding. So this is a little like Patreon, if you're familiar with that, where creators can offer support tiers to their fans and offer exclusive access to content at higher tiers. I'm subscribed to a few Patreons myself, where if you give it the $5 a month level, then you get access to extra content. And if you give it the $10 a month level, even more content. And if you contribute at, higher and higher levels, you might get to be part of exclusive like online concerts if it's a musician or something like that. So in our case, we're actually trying out a similar model where partner companies help us set priorities and work with us on solutions customized to their needs, which will then, by meeting those needs, will benefit anyone else who has similar needs. Sponsors and high-level contributors are able to participate in periodic discussions about XR and the web. This is still a very new initiative, so we don't have a lot of people signed up yet, but it's already showing some success. Like I say, we do have 3 partner companies with more on the way. And this is open for anyone to sponsor if they just want to support engine diversity in the XR space in a different way than we're used to from the traditional 2D web. There's enough success here actually that we're trying a similar approach with Servo, which is another browser engine that we adopted from Mozilla. This one's actually meant for embedded devices with 2D displays, such as appliances or dashboard displays. The idea being that having an open source browser in this situation that can potentially be ported to more and more devices will, again, create more diversity in the ecosystem of these devices as well as in the XR space. And if Servo succeeds, it will be in part because Wolvik forged the trail it follows, where the community, not only does our work contribute to the community in the sense of perhaps contributing to advancing the Open XR specification or XR related specifications, building up conformance tests, or just working with companies to help them realize what they want to do. That's the vision we have for both Servo and for Wolvik, modeling what we do on the open communities that have created these technologies. So that's my time basically up. I'm sorry about the microphone situation, but hopefully with that quick overview of Wolvik and how we're bringing open source technology and principles to the metaverse, I'd be happy to answer some questions and either answer them right away or find out the answers and share them later. So thank you very much for your time.
Hey folks, if you have questions for Eric, you can obviously put them either in the Q&A section or in the chat. Eric will be here for a while, so if you want to ask questions, he might try to answer them in the chat. This is personally a very, very interesting topic. I was especially shocked with that number, the number that you shared, where basically Google is controlling how browser ecosystem operates in the world, which is kind of fascinating and kind of scary at the same time, but I'm optimistic for the future. I'm generally an optimist about technology, so hopefully we'll see some changing scenario in the future.
Yeah, ideally, that would be good.
Yeah. And I mean, history has shown us that monopolies are never great. So whenever a monopoly breaks and their new innovation usually takes over.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that can be the case, although sometimes it takes monopolies a very long time to break, a very long time, and it can require government action for that to happen. So,
true.
Wonderful thought so far. I think from everyone. I think we today covered many topics from open wallet, autonomous car, also the recent web browser capabilities, and Annie has covered metaverse, and in my session we covered the agriculture and healthcare. I think we have an exciting speaker waiting, so over to you, Nikhil, to
Yes.
Microsoft, I guess.
Okay.
Yes. So how can we talk about the future of the internet without talking about Microsoft? So I have Shamik Das here with me. He's the director, sales program strategy and partner at Microsoft. And Shamik, it's great to have you here. Microsoft, as you guys know, is one of the biggest players when it comes to cloud, when it comes to metaverse. With the recent acquisition of Activision Blizzard, they have basically catapulted the growth of metaverse as a space, as well as integration of ChatGPT with Bing has kind of transformed the way we looked at search engines for a while. So it is going to be very, very exciting, personally for me, and I hope so for all the attendees to listen to Shamik. Shamik, if you're there, you're good to go. By the way, guys, be ready with your Twitters. I have very exciting. So I'm going to announce 3 winners for the raffle now. So make sure you're tweeting constantly. And Eric has also shared a few important resources. If you want to read about WebXR, the Wolvik technology, if you want to read some of the documentation has been linked in the chat, make sure you do visit that. I think Shamik is facing some internet problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the raffle round now. And then I am going to invite Shamik onto the stage. Let me quickly present my screen. Whenever I say quickly, there's something wrong. I think. Hold on, people. Yes. Yes. Okay, so the next winner I have is Niharika. Niharika, can you raise your hand in the chat? Niharika tweeted out a few minutes ago. Yes. Hi, Niharika. So I have given you the permission to talk.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, sir.
Hi. So whenever you're ready, just say start and we'll start.
Start.
Okay, great. So unfortunate. Just missed by a whisker, is it?
Thank you, sir.
But congratulations, Niharika, you won a t-shirt. And keep tweeting. Maybe your name will pop up again.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm quickly going to choose my second winner of the raffle. Let's go. Okay, is Ruchik Ganvir in the audience? Can they raise their hand? Ruchik, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Ruchik, if you're there. Yes, I see you. I see you. Okay, I've given you the permission to talk.
Hello.
Hi, Ruchik.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, we're going to spin, and let's hope that you don't win a T-shirt.
Okay, but I actually wanted a T-shirt.
Oh, you wanted a T-shirt? Oh, then why are you doing the raffle? Okay, let me just quickly pull up the raffle wheel. I don't know what is happening with the luck today. Everyone is winning the T-shirt today. And for once, we've gotten a participant that actually wants to win a T-shirt. Okay. Let me know. Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yeah, it is.
Let's go.
Okay, start.
Say start.
Go.
Okay. Let's spin again.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Start.
Oh, interesting. Congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
Shamik, sorry, I'm really sorry for the name. Congratulations, you've won a power bank. So keep your Twitter DMs open. I will be reaching out for that. So make sure your Twitter DMs are open.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll quickly go over the next winner. Okay, can we have Dravid Gautam? Okay, Dravid. Yes, let me see. Okay, I see Dravid. I hope I'm taking your name correct. Hi, Dravid. I've
Hello.
given you permission. Yeah. Hi. I see you're a very interactive person in the chat as well. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So let's resume the raffle. Let's hope you win something.
Yes, sir. Pin, sir.
Okay. We're spinning. Where does it land? 2 power banks in a row. Very interesting.
Thank you so
Congrats.
much.
Congrats,
Thank
David. Keep your Twitter DMs open. I will reach out to you once the session is over. I will reach out to you with instructions to how to win.
Yes,
Okay, I'm feeling lucky. Thank you so much, David. I'm feeling lucky. Should we do one more, guys? One more giveaway? One more giveaway. Give me a Y in the chat. Give me a Y in the chat if we are interested in one more. Yes. Okay. 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 Let's see which person my team has picked. Let me see. Okay. Let me just quickly go on Twitter and check it out. I see a lot of people who have already participated, tweeting out a lot, which is a good strategy, I must admit. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Who should we pick? Do we have here Arpan Banve? Okay, some people have raised their hand. Let me check. Yes, Arpan, I see you. Giving you the permission.
Hi.
Hey, hi. Let me quickly go to the picker wheel. Okay, can you see it? How are you, Arpan? Are you ready?
Yeah. Start.
Okay, let's start. Three power banks in a row. Congratulations, Arpan. I will reach out to you at the end of the session for more instructions. Thank you so much. Awesome. Do we have Shamik? We can start the remaining, like the next keynote. I think there's some technical issue on Shamik's end.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes. Hi, Shamik.
Hello. It's my session now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me share my screen. I have 2 or 3 slides, not much. And then I'll start. Can you just let me know, because I'm not able to see anything.
Yes, now it's visible.
So as you can know, I don't use Zoom at all because we have Teams. So that's why, yeah, not really.
I can understand.
No problem. So, so what is the format? I just carry on my session. Hi, Prashant. Nice to see you there as well. So this is Shamik Das Chaudhary, guys, whoever's listening from Microsoft Corporation. I'm based in the Redmond headquarters of Microsoft, having been 16 years in Microsoft and had a stint with PwC before. I was hearing the previous speakers. They were talking about pretty cool stuff, right? The metaverse, the avatars, the so many sort of things. Probably you'd be expecting me to talk about Chat GPT. But thing is, I'm not prepared to talk yet. Probably the next year session, we will talk about Chat GPT because that's kind of top of everybody's mind. What I would like to talk about is kind of more foundational, more fundamental to everything that we do in cloud, right? Be it a metaverse, be it a Chat GPT, be it a simple going to cloud from your on-premises for your customers, for yourself, for your Gmail, for your Hotmail, whatever you are using. I will talk about a bit more fundamental things. What is the fundamental thing? It's called assessment, but I'll talk about it. Let's just make a topic it is interesting because I'm up with Avatar and Metaverse, so I need to be making assessment cool for you, right? So just tell me whether the slides are visible or not. I don't know. I can't see.
It's visible.
It is okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next one. So what do we mean by assessment? Let's simplify that. So nobody in this world, even I, you, Rupal, Prashant, Nikhil, nobody takes a decision without looking at the data, right? Data on what they have, what are the risks of doing something in future, what are the benefits of doing something in future. Without analyzing that, we don't even take a decision to buy a bicycle, right? And now we are talking about when you sell Microsoft software, AWS or Google Cloud or whoever it is, or Netflix or whoever it is, we're talking about a customer spending billions of dollars on us, right? So obviously nobody wants to take a decision without really analyzing and looking at the data, that what they have, what are the risks, what will be the cost benefit? Should I stay on-prem? I go to cloud or whatever that is. That is the assessment we're talking about here. So in a very simple layman's term, I don't want to get into too many Microsoft jargons here, otherwise we'll be really confused. Simple terms, suppose you want to renovate your house, right? You're staying in a house which is pretty old now, you want to renovate your house. What do? You call a contractor, say Microsoft is the contractor. The first thing you do is show them around, right? This is my first floor. This is my bathroom. This is my kitchen. This is the roof where the water is leaking from on my head directly, so on and so forth, right? That's what you do, right? To show the contractor. Then the contractors see that, and they analyze what is wrong in your house, what can stay as is, what needs change, and what you absolutely must change, because otherwise it will be a disaster coming on. So assessment, we do a similar stuff in Microsoft assessment. So we go to a customer and then we look at their IT estate. We run a technology. We get the inventory of whatever they're running in their environment. Then we look at the risks. What can stay, continue as is, no change required. What are requiring big changes, and what are requiring small changes, and what are requiring no changes, right? Changes means moving to a Microsoft kind of platform and let us run the data center for you rather than you running it on your own. So that's what the assessment is done. So it's a very foundational first step of any decision making to moving to cloud. That's what it is. This is a very fast step. Just calling the contractor to show your house and then get an estimation, then get a plan, and then actually start the work. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about in next probably 5-10 minutes. And then probably I'll share some links and you guys can play with it. You can do your own assessment and stuff like that. And then basically understand the concept of it. Now, some of you are partners. I know some of you are dealing with customers. Some of you are IT enthusiasts. Some of you are students. Some of you are maybe IT professionals. I'm sure working in some companies and stuff like that. So when you go to next go to office or your school or your student, think about it. What is a person really concerned about when they're moving to cloud, right? They're concerned about the first thing. I think if you see my slide is already talked about, they find function about whether they're technically ready, right? Everybody's mind. I kind of interact with our field team. I'm on a worldwide role, but you know we have about 300 people in the organization that I belong, and they are working day in and day out with their own customers in different parts of the world. So what are the three biggest things that the customer has in mind? And anybody wants to kind of take a decision to move to cloud. First thing is whether I'm technically ready, whether I'm capable, whether my engineers are really technically skilled to help me run my business on cloud, right? That's the first thing that they have. What are the changes I need to make, technical changes I need to make in order for me to move to cloud and run my business without interruption? So that's what assessment does. First thing it does is it runs a technology, it gets the inventory of the software that you're running in your premises, the data center you are running in your premises, and we identify the technical blockers in what way it is blocking you from moving from on-prem to a cloud environment, right? So we identify that. We also provide remediation to that. The first thing we do is a technical insight that we provide to the customer, and they can understand what are the blockers. Be it, I mean, I'm just going into a little bit technical, like infrastructure, like that simple Windows server, SQL server, or the Linux server, the open source software, whatever they have, the databases, the operating system that they have. Are they outdated? First question. Are they outdated? Are they secured? Are they running the latest version? Do they have the security patches for those servers? Are those servers running at the full capacity for those customers, or they're having the idle capacity? It will believe me, we have done assessments in many customers as big as say American Express or AT&T in US, or for instance Infosys in India, for instance. So we have seen that the servers that they're running in their organization, they're massive data center they run, right? But when we look at the load, you will see the load is not consistent in those data centers, right? Data center load goes like this, it goes up, goes down, and they go up. So if you create your own data center, simple thing is, if you're not utilizing the full capacity of that, then you are having idle capacity, which is actually translated into waste of money. So that's the insight we provide, that what is your utilization of data center? Can we not have your data center discontinued and move where all your workload into a platform like Microsoft? It could be AWS, could be Google as well. I'm talking about Microsoft right now. But that's kind of first thing that we provide in an assessment. And when you go through a methodology, when you go through a tool, you can do it yourself. There's nothing rocket science here. We're just providing kind of everything together in a kind of packaged order so that customers get the benefit of that. Second thing is security. I think everybody's mind, guys. I mean, you are a big organization, small organization. You are an individual person, professor, student, my children, your children. Everybody is concerned about security because we are using IT assets with COVID and everything. You know that we really are stuck to the Zoom meetings and this, that, the other. Obviously, security is top of our mind. And I think our president, Brad Smith, talks about a little bit on that. He says, there will be one person in your organization who will click every link that comes his way, his or her way. There's one person, and that can destroy the entire company, right? And there will be one person, do whatever, you put a policy, put a consequence management, even put behind the bars. There will be one person that will be there who will click every link coming their way. And that's a huge risk for the organization. And sometimes you understand that, right? Hacking cannot be probably prohibited, but it's how quick and how easy you respond to that hack. I think that defines how ready you are as an organization. That defines how trustworthy you are as a customer. That defines how trustworthy you are as a bank or a financial institution or for the matter insurance or anything else. So in an assessment, we look at the customer's security aspect of their business, be it Azure security or their data center security or their old servers. Like for old servers is the biggest thing, right? If you see the recent hacks that has happened worldwide, you will see the most of the hacks were happened because of unpatched, unsecured server still running in the corner of a customer's data center. Nobody knows about it, and hackers hack them because they're not patched, they're not equipped with the latest security patches there. So we do that. We provide that as Microsoft to anybody who comes to us to do an assessment. We really provide that. And third thing is the most important thing. And Click2Cloud is our big partner in that area, right? So we work with them on a daily basis, and Prashant and Rupal, they're the brain of this, which is the financial aspect of moving to cloud, right? It's ultimately it's the money, right? It is security, it is technical, but it's also about money, right? Money is the main concern. Like whether I go to AWS or Google or Microsoft, what happens to my previous investment that I have made? How do I purchase the cloud services? Should I purchase a reserve instance so that I can save some money for 3 years or 5 years? Or should I get the Azure hybrid benefits kind of a thing? Because I have so many licenses, software licenses I already purchased by Microsoft. So that investment is taken care of. What is my break even? How many years? What is my cash flow looks like in a cloud environment? What is my financial planning looks like in next 3 to 5 years? All of that is an important element. So customers are looking for that, a business case, or sometimes we call it a total cost of ownership. What is my administration cost? What is my overhead? What is my power, for instance? What is even sustainability, for instance? What is my carbon footprint that I'm really kind of generating by running a data center of my own? How many trees can I save if I move to cloud, and so on and so forth? So that is a full package, right? It's not only cost of the money cost, it's also opportunity cost, it's also the environmental cost, right? All of that is important for any organization in the world today. So what assessment does from Microsoft side, we are looking at, and any assessment, be it AWS, be it a GCP, I mean, anybody who is going to cloud, they have some kind of an assessment mechanism. I don't want to say that is a bad one, ours is the best one, and not like that. I'm talking about, I'm representing a cloud company which we believe fundamentally that any cloud journey begins with an assessment. And it's true for AWS, true for Google, true for any company for that matter, true for any competitors. So 3 aspects I want to take away. We do technical, we do security, we do financial. If you are helping your customer, if you're helping yourself, if you're helping your own organization doing an assessment, without Microsoft, without Google, without anybody, there's 3 things: technical, security, financial. These are the 3 aspects. Now, what extra benefit that we provide? Obviously, we run a state-of-the-art tool, for instance. Like if you're running if you're getting the IT environment of a big customer, obviously you have to run an automated engineering or a technology so that you can get all of it together, right? For the data analysis. So that we have some of the state-of-the-art tools that we make ourselves. Like Azure Migrate is one. I have the slide, probably I'll share the link with you guys. You can play with that. Anybody around there, I would request you play with Azure Migrate. Freely downloadable tool by Microsoft, first party, no obligation whatsoever. Just play with it. Just play with it in your environment. If you have any feedback, provide it to us, because that's going to be the biggest assessment migration tool for Microsoft going forward, right? And it's freely downloadable. You can use it. We also work with many third-party ISVs. ISV means independent software vendors, who develop this cool software. Many of them are developed in India, for instance. Many of them are developed in open source, for instance. Many of them are running on AWS, I must say, but it is okay because we love those technologies. We love those technologies because those technologies address specific customer needs. If the customer say, I'm giving an example, if you're running a core banking application, core banking is a very big one. For suppose just a simple time kind of attendance system, attendance application. Now, that is there for last probably 15 years. That system in a factory is there on an on-prem server, right? But it can be more, you can get more analytics out of it, like how many people are doing this, how many people are doing that. If you move to cloud, like a powerful platform like an Azure, like Microsoft has, if you move that application there, then obviously you get the huge benefit of huge analytics that comes with this. But you need to understand first whether your application is ready for it, whether your application, the code that you have written for that application, is it ready for cloud migration? Do we need to change the code? Or do we need to put this in a kind of a microservices or Kubernetes services, or we containerize that application? All of that is a possibility. But how do you know that? How do you know that? That's why you have to do an assessment. That's why we use a third-party tool. Even Microsoft doesn't have any tool which can go into the code of the application and analyze it. So we use third-party application there. And many of the engineers, like you probably, who are thinking about it to start a company, I would say if you want to start something, yeah, build a technology for migration, build a technology for application modernization, because that's where I think we have putting a lot of focus and investment, and that's an area of interest, because you won't believe at least 10 million customers that I know of are not on cloud today, not on cloud today. They're thinking about it. Maybe they're cloud native, many of them, but they are staying on-prem. They're running their own servers. They have their own boxes. So there are plenty of opportunities, guys. If you want to start your own business, we will be happy to help you guys on that. But migration modernization is the business, is the currency of today. So additional benefit we gave, obviously, when the customer does an assessment, we generally help them with a pilot or proof of concept. We really move some of the workloads of the customer to our platform and let them run for, say, 2 or 3 months or 12 months, get the benefit, and then they can take a decision of moving their entire estate to our platform. But initially, we want to try that, let them test it out, and then we talk about the big migration. And obviously, the entire process is hand-holding. So probably I'm on the verge of my time, maybe another 2 or 3 minutes. So I don't want to drain with that. I talked about most of the thing. I think innovation and data is in the center of everything, because every assessment, every migration, every cloud movement happens based on hard-code data. If you don't have data to support a particular movement, I think no senior executive of a company will really put their investment behind that. And that's what we are trying to do with assessment. So we have about 300 people within Microsoft. We have about 500 partner organizations, like Click2Cloud is one of our important partner, one of the important Microsoft partner in the assessment migration space. And similarly, we have another. Sorry, my neighbor in the hotel room got disturbed, so he came in knocking. Hey, your voice is very loud. Anyways, no problem. We have another 500 plus partners across the globe, like the Cognizants or Infosys of this world. They're our partners. They have their assessment own practice. So we work with them. We understand from them. They have their own technology, own tools that we leverage sometimes, and kind of help customers doing the massive migrations. I will not drain more than that. There's a if you want to do an assessment, this is a form, and you can just scan the QR code for your organization. This is not for individuals to try, but this is definitely for an organization. If you're an organization, then you can just scan the QR code and request for an assessment. It will go to an assessment team, and they will pick it up. And if you see that we do workforce productivity or IT security or cloud migration, modernize your application, sustainability, so on and so forth, all areas are possible. So if you want to try it out, try it out. Another 2 things before I end. This is our self-serve security assessment. you can take, absolutely, no problem. No charges, nothing. Just kind of go to this link, and then just start your assessment and see yourself what the result is. If you're running an organization, if you're an IT person, IT professional, IT enthusiast, I would say run this in your organization for whatever it is, and then see the results. You'll get a very cool report at the end of the assessment, which will be really valuable and understand what is your security situation. And then last but not the least, I talked about Azure Migrate. So this is what Azure Migrate is. I have given the link on the bottom of the slide. It can access your infrastructure and data and also application right now. So my request is,
yeah, we are not able to see your slides. So can you share the screen? I think you talked everything, but we probably need your slides to see through.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But I think we got the good idea about everything else. And you can also share the links in the chat window.
Can you see now?
Yeah,
Not
the
yet.
slides are visible. The slides have been there. We were not able to see the slideshow view. You were able to see the slides.
Okay,
okay,
good.
okay, no problem. So just last slide on that. So Azure Migrate is kind of our kind of flagship tool for Microsoft. Just play with it. So with that, I'll end my session, and happy to kind of answer any question in the chat window or whatever it is. Hope you have a great summit. But on this summary is every decision making starts with the kind of some kind of an assessment, be your home decision making or cloud decision making, and then wherever you are, whoever you are. I think these methodologies are pretty common and pretty universal, I would say. So try it out, play it out. If you have any feedback, give it to us, because we don't know it all, guys. I mean, even Microsoft, it's okay, but we don't know it all. We're still learning from many other technology professionals around the world, and you are some of them. So any feedback you have on this topic, any feedback you have on the technology, please give it to us. With that, thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me. Over to you, the host. Thank you.
Nikhil. Thank you, Shamik. Thank you so much. I think cloud assessment is something which is very useful for all the entrepreneurs and innovators in our audience. If you are someone who is scaling their business up and planning to have your own data center, planning to have a data centric approach to your business, I think cloud assessment is something that is kind of your fundamental starting step, which Shamik highlighted throughout his talk. Thank you so much for that, Shamik.
So one of the things also I would like to highlight, Shamik, and in audience, there are many colleges who have joined IIT Bhilai, KDK. We have people from Dubai, people from England. Cedric is there, and we have European people also. And I know it's pretty late, and thanks a lot, Shamik, for taking time. It's about midnight over there. So we appreciate your enthusiasm and the level of attention to detail with all the other speakers. I mean, today we have global speakers, about 12 different institutions joining globally, and many companies are representatives are there along with the colleges, and quite a bit of set of audiences are there who are listening to this call from their respective organizations right now. So thank you for showing up and being part of the summit. Yeah, Nikhil, over to you to continue.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Yes, much appreciated. I know a lot of speakers are actually from the other hemisphere, and they have been it's literally midnight, it's late in the hours or early in the morning, and they have still attended the webinar and have given such energetic keynotes. It literally, like, Shamik's literal neighbor next door came in to tell him, "Can you calm down a little bit?" That was so funny. But thanks so much, Shamik, for that. And let's move on. So the next keynote that we have with us today is from Royal O'Brien. He's the executive director of the Open Metaverse Foundation, which comes under the Linux Foundation. Unfortunately, Royal could not be present with us today directly, but he has shared a short video explaining what he's going to cover today. So I'll quickly share that video with you guys.
Hello, and welcome to the Cloud Metaverse Summit of 2023. My name is Royal O'Brien, and today we're going to discuss the role of open source in metaverse development. Now, during the day, I work over at the Linux Foundation. I serve as the General Manager of Digital Media and Games, and I also serve as the Executive Director of the Open Metaverse Foundation and the Open 3D Foundation. I'm really looking forward to kind of talking to you about a little bit of this and hopefully clear up some misunderstandings and some other thoughts of what happens or what is the metaverse. So let's begin with the metaverse itself. Is it this plush cyber world of 3D fantasy that everybody sees in the movies? Or maybe it's a place that you'll travel, or a learning center, or really anything for anyone of any age. Or maybe it's part of what an engineer will use for controlling a plant when they're using a drone and going around and being able to do everything from remote or even on site and having those kind of controls, but in more of a virtual environment. Or maybe it's just a handful of people having a staff meeting for design. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to build the next best, I don't know, application for the metaverse. Who knows? And none of us really do. But we have general ideas of what we think it will be. And then, of course, it all comes down to, what do we really want? Well, we're still dreaming. And dreaming isn't such a bad thing as long as you have an understanding of how you might actually get there. So if you kind of think about it, there's a certain level of immersion and parallels and expectations that really has to be tempered a little bit. And so when people talk about the metaverse, they think of it in a lot of ways. Well, we do understand that we want it to be immersive in many ways. And immersive is such a loaded term because, you know, it could be augmented reality with your phone, like what you see an example here. What's in the background isn't actually what you see through the phone. Or through VR, where you're completely encapsulated inside of this immersive environment. Or even haptic, where you can feel responses. And remember, there are different levels for different people. There are people who may be blind, or people who may be deaf, where spatial audio or certain kinds of video are more responsive, but yet still immersive to them. So the whole concept of it is that it's still kind of persistent, like real life. It goes on even when you're not in there. And the experiences that you see, it's kind of that thing where you want to have these same experiences, but you want them in new, but also familiar ways. You're not looking to be something completely foreign. It's a way that you can experience the new, but not be so fearful or shocked kind of entering into it. And then, of course, one of the biggest parts is we love to share. And that is a key element of the metaverse, is being able to share with other people what you see, what you experience, what you communicate. We're very much social creatures, and that is a big part of the metaverse. And so let's kind of put some of this in context, though, for a second here, because it sounds all wonderful. So what do you see here with this picture? Let's think about it. You have this person, and it looks like they're kind of going into a portal. And what if this is what it looked like when you entered a portal or were traversing from server to server? So you're in one world and you're transferring to another world. Maybe this is what it looks like when you're transferring. But seems great. Problem is there's a few questions that kind of gets raised. And mind you, I have an engineering background, so all of these questions race through my head, which it should for many others. Such as, you know, when I'm transitioning from world to world, or server to server, there's some interesting things that have to be answered, like, how do other people see you? How do you load all of these people and all their outfits and all of their avatars? And can you overhear them? And can you actually interact with these people? What kind of level of interactivity do you have? Are they just kind of there? And how often do they move? Could you imagine 1,000, 10,000 people moving around on your screen? That's a lot of data at one time. So how often are they really moving? And then, are they real in the first place? Are they actually humans? Or is it AI? Are they interactive, like where you can actually communicate with the AI or some of the different pieces here? And what can you do with them? And then, of course, let's just say somebody showed you an ad as you were walking along. Well, did you see it? Did that cause a transaction to occur? Did somebody make money for you look in that direction? All of these things happen all in the background. And so how will you present yourself in this world? Well, I mean, if you think about it, you have the three faces. It's a Japanese proverb, which says the first face you'll show to the world. And the second face you'll show to your close friends and your family. And the third face you'll never show anyone because it's the truest reflection of who you are. It's that thing you keep private. We take this for granted when we start talking about metaverse and internet because it's assumed it'll be everything. But when we ask the question, what is a user? Is it the first face, the second face, the third face? Is it all three at the same time? Maybe that is a persona that you see. So that when you're walking around in this space, your business colleagues, they see you in one way. Your gamer friends, they see you in other. People who are personal with your family, they see you in another way. Or strangers may not even see you or see a different persona. So that brings back the question, well, what is the user? So, and how will you present? Because it could be one or could be all. And how will that translate across worlds? How do we persist that when you move from environment to environment? It's a very much a morphing type of system, if you think about it, where you have that immersion. We're on the internet today, but when you start in your browser, you're basically anonymous until you decide to identify yourself in some way or someone tracks you. Metaverse is much more persistent where things can actually see you. Think of it this way. The internet and the web browser, it's really a one-way transaction with a response back. Hi, I'm here, send me back some data. We can do some transactions back and forth, but they're not real time. Metaverse, on the other hand, there's a continual flow of information coming in and out, whether you meant to see it or not. And to get there, it all comes down to a point, and that is that you need to have a form of interoperability. And this interoperability is the key for Metaverse, because if you can't get these servers or these clients to show some of the same things, to have some of the same reactions, to do some of the same elements, it never becomes immersive. You become an island on your own. And to do that, you also have to come up with the standards that allow people to write software in the means that will match how they'll work together, even though it's not what you created. So then why can't we get a straight answer when we bring up this whole Metaverse thing anyways? Well, the thing is, if you ask different people, you'll get different answers. And so, let's take this example sentence. The metaverse can be envisioned as a mixed reality experience where real and/or virtual objects and worlds are presented to a user on a system consisting of a visual display and/or audio system that enable a positionally and spatially accurate experience. Now, if I tell that to somebody who's into digital assets, they're going to respond and go, oh, well, I need to use OBJs and FBX, and I'm thinking mesh and texture and visual and all these elements to it. I ask the same question to a networking person. They're thinking, well, they're entities. I have to replicate them across a network, and I have to have the servers talk, and I have to have all the bandwidth to be able to get this done. Or if I talk to somebody in virtual worlds, what is my client going to show? How do I load those things up? And are these saved in a database? And how am I going to cache all of them? So transactions, do they have a wallet? Do they have an ID? Are they a user? So think about it. Same question posed, and I got 4 completely different answers. So that's the main problem of what's behind this, is that there's a lot of contextual parts that have to come into play for who you're speaking to and how they're looking to answer the question. And so you saw the last image that I used as AI generated. So I wanted to take a moment to appreciate the comedy of AI. I have no idea how I came up with the expression on this. I just simply said, show me a bunch of people that built chat bubbles. I did not know I was going to get some kind of horror story of people baffled, but I thought it was wonderful, and I draw that to the attention because here's why. AI is going to be a part of this metaverse. We don't know what it's going to do in half the cases. Sometimes wonderful, sometimes horrible. Sometimes it's somewhere in between. So something to think about there. Now, let's talk about open interoperability, which also comes down to source code and standards, right? Interoperability being the key, it being open and having the source and standards to drive it. Open is essential for creativity. That's the biggest thing you have to remember. If the internet, remember a while back they were talking about building fast lanes so that certain websites would move faster than others and you can gain quicker access and some would have priority and some would not have priority. Think about it. We would have wound up with a bunch of portals. It would have stifled creativity because only the people that are the fast lanes would have actually been able to get most of the attention because people don't want to wait around. And what if you had to pay a subscription for your browser? I think everybody takes that for granted. You just start up Internet Explorer, or you start up Edge, or you start up Chrome, or start up Firefox, or pick your favorite flavor, but you don't pay for these things. You use them as a result, but imagine if you did have to. Open source has a very strong element when it comes to these parts to allow that interoperability and creativity to come around. Because here's the thing. Think about how people react. It is basically herding by least resistance or best of show. So if I make it really easy for you, or I make it really glamorous, you're mainly going to go there because it's the easiest path. So imagine if we didn't have these open standards and open things that we use right now for the internet. It would be drastically different. And so the big part of what open source does, it levels the playing field. Whether you're a large company or a small company or just a person, you can build the same experiences and you can do things where the only limitation of your ability to garner attention is your creativity, is your prowess of technology. And that's the key element to this. And so if you think about it, the internet and the metaverse really do have parallels as a playground. And this playground has to be where anybody can create them. The difference is that you will find people who have amazing and vibrant ideas of how they'll do it. I mean, we've seen this happen time and time again with some of the most amazing pictures that are generated by AI, are generated by people who are just beautiful artists. This playground has to be open for us to be able to do it, and not just by one company, but by all coming together. And so if you think about it, having this creative environment, number one, it brings the biggest part about us, and that is that we love to build, and we love to show, and we love to trade. And that is the biggest thing that drives most people of what they want to do. Not everything is money, but it is about being able to build, feeling that personal satisfaction, showing other people and having that recognition, and then trade if it's something that you can live off of. So going back, though, over to open interoperability source and standards, you have the open standards, and that is basically the specification. So in other words, you want to create these standards that are freely available for anybody to adopt and implement. And you want to focus on that portability and interoperability so that no matter what language they choose or what technology they have, it will work. And then you want it also to be managed by a foundation of stakeholders to maintain the quality and ensure the focus. So it doesn't just get swayed in one direction or have somebody who has an agenda that can drag it off into the wrong place. And it also allows people to kind of discover new needs and features from open source implementations. There have been so many different technologies that have come out of the blue that we didn't even know would be there. That was somebody who had a cool idea, and it just came to life. And so you look at the implementation, which is open source. And so that's code that's freely shareable by anyone, anywhere, with attribution. And then you've got licensing terms to ensure that the contributions become free and open to the community, like Apache and MIT. You want to make sure that what you're putting out there, people can use, and it's an important part of an ecosystem. And also having it built upon a decentralized community, collaborating on the project, allows everyone to benefit from the result of it. So it's really important if you think about the specification and the implementation, open source and open standards going hand in hand. And then, of course, you'll find out that open source really does much better when they use open standards. Now, this all comes back to sustainable ecosystems. And this is why this is important. Because projects that have sustainable ecosystems, they really matter. If you think about it, it's a flywheel. You have basically the technical community who is building something around it. And they come up with a technology. And with their technology, they turn around and they build products. And these products then open up different markets. And as a result of these markets, it allows more people to participate, which comes back to the technical community. But there is another flywheel that also goes around that, and that is from the corporate side. So you have this balanced flywheel of community and commercial. And so sustainable projects, they have an ecosystem that enables and supports openly developed technology into commercial products and solutions. So when companies look at it, they think, well, these are projects being driven by these communities that have the technologies that make the products that they're able to sell, and as a result, they can benefit with profits, who in turn can then participate and reinvest back into the project and back into the technical community. And it's maintaining that balance that is critical to drive faster velocity. So let's talk about open source and communities. So open source means innovation and solutions. That means build, focus on libraries and projects that are iterated to create new products. Somebody's hobby can turn into the next big thing. You don't really know, but this happens all the time. Openly sharing knowledge is absolutely powerful. We all learn and grow from what we get from each other. We iterate off each other. There's nobody that comes in and has an amazing revolution that just happens. It's a result of sharing ideas and iterating. We're amazing at iterating, and open source is really a lot about iterating. And it's one of the fastest models for innovation, if you think about that. I mean, you don't just come up with every idea in one shot. And then, of course, communities and projects, they help focus the visions so that you don't just try and eat the whole metaverse at once. You have a handful of smaller projects that are focused on the components, the building blocks. And that is what becomes the metaverse. And each one of those have their own sustained environments, sustained communities that support each one of these products and make sure that they stay up to date and they're innovated and they're brought forward and maintained. So do you remember this question? Imagine if you had to pay for your browser. Well, here's an example. As I said, I run a couple of the foundations, but here's an example of this scenario, because if we're going to do metaverse and you're thinking 3D, where will you go? Do you think that everything that you will license or use must be done on a commercial engine? Perhaps not. So there is a foundation called the Open3D Foundation, and it is one of the open source projects that are out there that people can use. And this is just an example of something that's out there that exists that you can get the full source code and everything to today to be able to build a metaverse type experience. It is a fully featured high fidelity real-time 3D engine that that you can build games and simulation available to every industry. That means that you've got something that is Apache 2 and MIT. It's completely open source. You can go pull the source code down, lock yourself in a closet, never talk to anybody, and it's still yours to use and do what you want with. It supports PC, mobile, Linux, and of course, OpenXR implementation. It's really important, if you think about it from the mobile Linux side, how we're going to do some of these headsets that people really want to use. And it's a complete end-to-end tool chain. That means you get everything required from start to finish to build experiences, including source code. There's also a mobile device working group that's involved with this, with partners like Oppo and Huawei, Imagination Technologies, Heroic Labs, and they're focused on optimizing all of this for advanced GPU with the least amount of power, because you're going to be using a lot of this type of technology. It is going to take a lot of compute. You don't want that thing to turn to a fiery brick in your hand. And that means that there's a greater opportunity for OpenXR development. That means that people who build on top of this can take those pieces that they've built and also port them over to other engines and get them to work in other environments. You're not stuck because you're caught inside of a commercial term or because you're locked into an engine. It's modular. It's built to be taken away and detached. And then, of course, as that part of it, as I just spoke about, the modularity, that means you build that piece of code, you have this lightweight OpenXR Metaverse type 3D browser that you can simply carry from device to device to get a consistent level of quality. That means you can get the full source code over at GitHub repo right there. That includes the editor, the renderer, the visual programming, the network, the packaging, asset importing, animation platform, everything that you would need to build these kind of experiences. The website is here, and you can get in Discord. There is an incredibly vibrant Discord with thousands of people online. There's usually at least 600-700 online at one time. And if you want to get involved and just look at some of the events, I would say take a look at the calendar and just jump into one of the public meetings. You can hear people talk about it at every level. Go in, introduce yourself if you want, or go to Discord. Look around. You'll see it's a very surprising community that's really robust and continually growing. Now, the other one that we have here, since this is a metaverse conversation, is the Open Metaverse Foundation, which we had formed roughly about a month ago. And the mission of this is to create open software and standards that enable the portability and interoperability for an open, global, scalable world type of foundation, which supports interactive and immersive experiences for the benefit of any individual or industry. That means we are not building the metaverse, okay? To get that clear. That's a big cookie to bite. Instead, we're focused on building the blocks that enable developers to build the interoperable metaverse, bringing these pieces together, because that's how we'll actually get there. So that means we're focused on users. Everything has to do with a user account, user IDs, transactions, whether it's payment systems, whether it's blockchain. How will you transact, or even just a trade between two people? And how will you do the ledgering behind it? The digital assets, these are the 3D objects, the haptics, the sound, the movie, all of that. How do we standardize it so that we make sure that we're using the same formats like USD or GLTF or other ones that can allow that when you bring a piece of media, it will work everywhere? And then virtual worlds and simulations to actually build the client-side and server-side objects. Artificial intelligence, AI is going to be a big part. It's greater than 60% of what we have on the internet. You can bet it's going to be big on the metaverse. Networking, how will this communicate in a latent model that actually works well? Security and privacy, this encapsulates all of the above so that when they start building these things, what are the things we should be watching for? And legal and policy. Now, this isn't where you're going to get legal advice, but you will get opinions on how people look at this and what some of the guardrails can be, so we can help advise some of those that create policy with facts and information. And so the focus here for what we're doing is to create scenarios. That means creating real-world use cases that can be solved independently by each foundational interest group. If you remember this slide, each one of these are foundational interest groups. To develop the source code, to actually create that portable and demonstrable code that people can build upon. To build the specifications so that we have the design to challenge these things so that they can build and be extended for future things that we don't even know exist. And then publish standards, which means working with different standards groups to help ratify the specifications into interoperable standards. So how does the OMF work? Well, so we build and we publish in the open. We have a plan deck and a plan document and a phase 1 document that explains everything. We have a 30,000-foot view of what we're trying to build. And the object is to produce code and documentation to achieve goals which can be iterated on year after year. And so just the same as, you look at we as us as a foundation, no single organization or foundation should be the only voice. And that includes us. Instead, we embrace the communication work in promotion with other groups. We actually work with multiple groups to bring our knowledge and put it out in the public so they can work on it at the same time. There is enough to do on the metaverse. We don't need to draw a line in the sand or make a land grab. It is for all of us to share and work together globally as a community. And so how can you get involved? Well, for one, you can go to the website, or you can join us on Discord. And if you can't get on Discord, you can also join in Slack. We have a replicator that takes care of that. Or you can participate in the meetings. There's a calendar where you can get involved. You don't have to know how to write code. Bring your voice, bring your thoughts. That's how we actually do a lot of this design. Contribute. If you have open source projects or you're a part of an open source project, come to us, talk to about it. You don't have to put it inside of ours. We'll actually work and fork it and actually contribute upstream to your project. We want to work together with different groups, not take away from them and not divide them. And we want to, of course, bring all of these communities together and share what we're doing in knowledge. So I do want to leave you with one last thing here, and that is another moment to appreciate the comedy of AI. Because when we're all holding hands, we probably don't have this many fingers, or at least not these size of fingers. So I absolutely love this image because when I tried to generate those hand-holding ones, this is what I've got. So with that said, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me, and have a wonderful event.
That was a preview of the video that Royal sent us. We also have a short video from Tom Petreka, who is the lead technology strategist at Tencent. He has also sent a small video for us to view. So I'll be quickly presenting over that video with you guys.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm very excited to be part of this great event, the Cloud and Metaverse Summit 2023. And here I am to talk about how Tencent Cloud is supporting the rise of the immersive convergency. So here today, it's your speaker, Tom Petreka. I'm a lead technology strategist at Tencent Cloud. So what is immersive convergency for us? So if you go back with me a couple of decades ago, before the era of the internet, everything was done on the ground, physically. You have to go in a physical store to buy things, have to meet someone in a local office for your meetings. You have to go and purchase things physically at the store. So nowadays, with the era of the internet, everything is online, right? We change the way we behave. We change the way we buy things. We change the way we communicate with people. Everything is done on a virtual world. So, and we are also seeing the same thing with the rise of the metaverse. That's why we call it the immersive convergency, because we're also seeing the same pattern with the internet now coming to the virtual reality world, where everything was done online, but now everything was called on the scene. That means is you're not only interacting with the virtual world, but you also are part of the virtual world, interacting with people, interacting with the scenes, interacting with the virtual space there is. So, and here I am very excited to share how we are empowering empowering the world with our own technologies. And here I have three technologies that I want to talk about today, which is the virtual scene. That's where everything got built, right? We render the environment, the virtual space. We also have the virtual avatar and a human avatar, which is also a way for you to create your own avatar so we can interact in those spaces. We also will mention about our interactive media and communication product line that also empowers everything when it comes to communication and streaming as well. So all those products are built and empowered by a very elastic and computing power data centers and computing processing power. So starting with the virtual scene. What is virtual scene? So basically, those are the two most important things when you build a virtual reality world, right? You have the 3D modeling of that physical space, but you also have the real-time cloud rendering, which is let you to render those spaces based on, for example, on engine like Unreal Unit, right? So you basically converting them to what's called the engine for those virtual spaces. And we're very excited to share that we do have a product that does that for you. So nowadays you can create your own rendering and use our Tencent Cloud real-time rendering to render your virtual space. That can be used for virtual exhibitions, for conference, for virtual spaces, for campus, for city, for concerts, anything that nowadays we humans see as a physical space. That's what needs to be done. That's the product they use in order for you to render into a virtual space. And here's a little demo about a video, a conference that we render. It's called the Tencent Digital Ecosystem Summit, where we use this tool to render the space for the participants to go and virtual participate, right? So as you can see, it's a very powerful tool that has a lot of details and a lot of power in order to create that immersive environment. Same thing with our digital twins, for example. So this is a video where we show the physical space to your left and the virtual space to your right. Both of them are very realistic, right? Because they were basically a clone, a virtual copy of that physical space. So we're able to render that and also provide that user experiences with, some additional information, tagging, and subtitles and everything. So, and if you go to that QR code on the top with the WeChat, if you use the WeChat scan, you can scan that and we'll take you to this Nento city where you can virtually visit it. And that's an amazing experience. So that's point number one. We need the scene. Now that we already have the scene, we have the virtual space, we need the people. And how we created avatars, right? As you know, that's the major point about the metaverse is people interacting with people and people interacting with the scene, with the virtual world. So, and we also have a very cool technology that let you create your own avatar, your own human avatar, and that's what's called the digital human or virtual human. And this is just an example where we model an AI model that is an avatar that basically can speak for you or maybe do a presentation like I am right now for you you just have to provide with the script for this this AI and the AI automatically will present that for you. So this is just an example where we see those avatars being used, right? They can be used for presentation, they can be used for online study, they can also be used for your customer service. Let's say you have a store, a virtual store, and you want to have someone trained in that store to help guide the purchase. So you have this avatar that can be trained with your speech to do a sales pitch or to help as a customer service. Very cool technology. We also have tools to help you build those avatar based on 3D face recognition modeling. So for example, in this case, we have this avatar that, we have this avatar that mimic the facial expressions and can let me show you. The video is not loading. Oops. All right. All right, there we go. So as you can see, to your left, that's the avatar, and to your right is the modeling that's capturing in real time the facial expressions, and then you can model that to your avatar in order to speak, in order to have a close to reality one-on-one conversation where he can understand and do the same facial expressions as we do as a human being, right? But not only the facial, we also have that for the full body. So movements or any sort of physical movements can be also replicated and rendered. So very cool technology. So that's number two, the people. Now come to the point number three, where how can I combine that with the human being experiences, that the communication, right? So that's another main factor for a metaverse is the space, the people, and the communication. So and how Tencent Cloud is empowering that? Well, we do have a couple other tools that we've been using for gaming for decades of experiences running large scale gaming and now we're very happy to use those technologies as well to the metaverse. And those are voice chat, those are voice messaging, speech to text, and text translations as well. So what those are basically a suite of tools that let you build the same communications that we have on the online world to the metaverse world by implementing, for example, chat, a bot, or even in-person reality immersive sound and voice experiences. And that's what I want to present to you today with the GME, the Tencent Game Multimedia Engine, that is a very immersive 3D voice experiences for the user. So basically, when I'm talking to you one-on-one, we have our capability of hearing is based on the physical space. So basically, if I talk to you through a wall or on the side, you're probably going to hear from my right side better than the left side because you are very close to my right ears. Same thing with the virtual world. We wanted to empower that same experiences. That's how GME was created, to create that voice, the 3D spatial voice experiences for the users. And here another video where both users, they're communicating through a wall, and then or maybe they're inside a huge stadium, or maybe they're in a small box, and all that echo, the physics there is into the space that the user are, has different impacts on its voice. So very powerful, very dynamic. Of course, this is a demo. You won't be able to hear all the spatial because it is on a presentation. But if you ever play gaming where there's a 3D spatial audio, that same effect to your voice. So if I get closer to the user, you hear me better. If I go far away from that user, I need to scream loud or speak louder in order for you to listen. So very cool technology. And everything is only possible because we have that computing power capacity. So Tencent Cloud, it is the cloud that we use for Tencent gaming, for Tencent social media. This is what everything powers our global infrastructure. This is that's where we also have the global infrastructure deployed. So nowadays, because Tencent is a global company and we run games in a large scale, we do have infrastructure basically every continent, in every part of the world. So that helps you to not only have the right access for your technology, but also to spread that environment, that technology in different regions. So you lower the latency, you increase the customer experience, you also have the power to expand your business to another region. So that's all for today. I know it was a lot of information, but I just want to say thank you again for all your time. And we're very excited to be in this event. And if you ever have any questions, I had my email, tompetraka@global.tencent.com. So tompetraka@global.tencent.com. Thank you so much. I wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you.
I would like to move on and invite Rupal Shirpurkar, who is the business head Cloud BU at Click2Cloud. Rupal ma'am, it has been an absolute pleasure hosting the session here. And like we didn't even notice how the time flew by. So eventually we have come up at the very end of the webinar of the summit. And I would like you to talk more about the opportunities in cloud space, as well as give us a concluding summary of the summit.
Right, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on the time that you have joined in. I really appreciate all the speakers' support who have shared their thoughts. I mean, we have been hearing a lot about open source. The future is like open source now. And open source is an extremely important aspect when we are talking about digital India, where Click2Cloud have been an active contributor in this mission, and we have been aware of this. Government of India has already launched the policy on evaluation and the adoption of free open source softwares in India. So there are major initiatives that have been taken in the direction where companies are working towards more frequently amount of cross industries that we are able to accomplish these aspirations. And thanks to all the great speakers who talked about and shared their different thoughts on how open source is really shaping the world around us. There is a lot of learning that we can adopt from this initiative to make digital India. So thanks Prashant and Annie for highlighting the metaverse, evolution of new digital era or future of metaverse in the healthcare sectors, gaming or agriculture. I really appreciate Yonghi's where he mentioned about EV vehicles are the future and what are the solutions that are available, whether it's robotic industry for a robotic architecture project, which is based on open source robotics for electric cars, or in future we can see that for electrical chargers as well. Then Vanchin to talk about Open Wallet Foundation, like extremely important. I am sure that India has been a great in UPI, the greatest and best technology for scaling up to the level. Hope we can bring that for digital wallet or AI bots related efforts as well. And thanks to Eric Mayer, AR here have been a constant like topic where we have been talking every single day, whether it's like OpenRX or WebEx are kind of contribution in this space. Shamik, of course, Microsoft is a great, one of the biggest contributor in open source, and what can be better than knowing about the big giant, talking about how they can save the sustainable efforts or provide a data-driven decision makers with assessment. So we call it like do more with less on Microsoft Azure, and nothing better can having the assessment in place. So really appreciate all the speakers joining from Microsoft, Alibaba, Huawei, FutureAway, Linux Foundation, IBM, Click2Cloud. We know like open source is a sustainable, right? Investing in open source communities is the first step in making the evolution possible. We have also seen the open source communities that have gone public, such as HashiCorp or JFrog or Elastic, MongoDB, GitHub, have shown the blueprint that how this build and scale in open source can make a business model, I mean, the successful business model as well. And there are many more successful projects that we can think about, which is long-term sustainable, whether it's Linux, the most in-demand open source operating system in the market, whether you're talking about Python, PHP, or which is the most demanding language, the scripting language, or whether you're talking about lot of open source project where the application, the cloud application has been built, whether 90% of smartphones is running on open source softwares now. Hope ChatGPT could be one of them in future to have the bigger, broader picture about how the automation and the augmented, the AI related thing is going to turn up. ChatGPT is an open source now, but nearly everything is, the output is based on open knowledge. The big reason why developers like open source is that they can get started easier and faster. I agree that there are sometimes the transition to open source is not easy. If you already have a legacy systems, like we call it CSS, or instead, or using it, or installing for using it, or I mean, but evolving or evaluating the open source could be an alternative that probably can give you a leading edge if you can plan your IT needs ahead of time. So free and open source software, I'm sure that going to change the way that we used to work, we used to live, we used to like really operate. Let me know if you really agree or disagree with my idea. I mean, share your thoughts. We have seen, I mean, this entire era is evolving, especially post-pandemic. We have seen the market size uh, for open source was estimated about 25 billion in 2022, and it is expected about 54 billion USD by 2027. I guess IRS about 16.7%. And we've seen that globally, open source report, which recently launched, I was reading, I guess, Open Logic, they found that there are 77% organizations were more reliant on open source technology that, that they used to do 20 months ago. While Red Hat also published that the enterprise open source report found 80% companies expect to increase their use for enterprise open source emerging technologies. And this is a great start for India. We all are there for contribution. And I totally believe open source is the new industry accepted model for cross-company collaboration. And India has a vibrant and growing open source community, whether it's Microsoft GitHub, which is like 5.8 million Indian contributors. Open source software, I believe that number was about last year. This year might have changed, but 5.8 million Indian contributors is huge. Open source software development has a lot of potential in India, and it could become the best in the world under the right circumstances. We're just waiting for the right time. As I mentioned, the government of India can play a really important role here, because introducing the policy for this open source ecosystem can change the open source development or encourage a mutual benefit relationship for both government and developers, and make this digital India much needed push, right? So with that, I would like to thank all our speakers who have joined from different part of world, coming from United States, from Japan, from UK, from India, and almost, I mean, I would say global time zone. And of course, our open source supporters, mentors, our contributors who have blessed us with their presence today. And I'm so much thankful to all the advisory committee for this program, for this event, their consistent support and guidance to shape this conference. Today, I feel an incredible honor and privilege to have been allowed to extend this vote of thanks for all the attendees to this one of the third consistent year of making open source ecosystem more visible, more like open and transparent in front of all the techies in India. We hope you enjoyed this experience, and with that, thank you so much. Looking forward to see you again next year.
I think the overall session gave us a lot more wonderful insight. Eric, Annie, and all the other speakers who have been Shamik from Microsoft. So we have a very sort of variety of representation today, which has made this session truly global in nature. And the amount of people who are attending from different organizations have been something very useful for us. As a company, we have been doing, this is the third year we have done. We have already done hackathon with China, Europe, and Japan in the very beginning. Second year, we got global representations from all the telecoms around the globe. And then there was presentations from cloud computers like Alibaba, Microsoft, and Tencent in the past. This year has been unique because this year we got IBM, Microsoft, Linux Foundation, FutureWay, and great explanation from people like Eric and others. So this event has become truly a global event for the people who are observing this. And to be honest, I mean, in India, there are very few events which captures the cutting edge technologies like autonomous car, the digital payment gateway, the wallets, and the current thing that are happening in the technology world, the robotics, the open source software, the impact that we can make in the overall ecosystem. So I believe that this is a wonderful event. But in the summary, I think everyone who's on the session today has been able to get maximum out of it, from the technology segmentation, from the overall implementation purposes. And these communities, the links that are been shared are all about how to use the open source capability and other key contributions.
Absolutely, sir. I think all of this, even this webinar, the summit that you guys have attended, this is going to be like a very, this is a very good resource for you to revisit later as well. So when we upload this on the official YouTube channel of Click2Cloud, we can obviously revisit the summit and go through some of the technologies that have been spoken about. We'll also attach the resources that we have discussed here, which are absolutely amazing. If you have read through even the basic documentation of some of the projects that we've covered, you'll understand the depth of knowledge that you can gain out of this. So I'm assuming that all of the developers, all of the students, entrepreneurs, and innovators who have attended the summit today take this at least with them, because prizes and all, it's fine, but I think knowledge is what ultimately drives a person's career and one's life eventually. So I hope that that has been a similar experience for everyone. Give me a Y in the chat if you agree with me.
I think the energy level still remains the same around the globe, where everybody we saw Shamik with the full energy, where he has to get a knock from the neighbor from next door. And Eric, your session was absolutely wonderful about, and the insights that you gave about the browsers and how actually the world dominance is happening, and other software that are contributing toward it. So I think some of those things are like wonderful session, wonderful observation for everyone. While we are waiting for this to ultimately wrap up.
Yeah, I was just concluding the session. So thank you everyone for attending, and I hope you guys had fun.
Thanks a lot, Nikhil. Thank you. Bye everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Prashant.
Bye.